Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully we're actually up.
I think so. Look at all the fiends already ready in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for a fantastic night of absolute demons, ready to watch the participation contest.
Welcome to class, everybody.
Oh yeah.
We're going to be talking about complex, really nuanced topics tonight, like how Republicans got absolutely clapped last night.
Facts.
Because it was really bad for them.
There's no way they don't talk about it. And I mean, while we're talking about things they're going to talk about, we might as well put up the bingo card.
You want to do that off rip? I was thinking we save that for the 10 minutes before the debate.
That's true.
So we can speed run it.
And then we can cook up ideas.
Yeah, we do also. We have a lot of things to talk about before the debate. I got too much time on my hands, right? I'm always thinking about politics.
Exactly. This dude brought an itinerary.
And I wrote a couple of things down that I wanted to cover. The first thing that I wanted to cover.
It's a lesson plan.
Is this wicked story that I heard about Mike Johnson. Did you hear anything about Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, for those that don't know? Did you hear anything about Mike Johnson and his son?
No.
Okay.
No.
So to start off this
Is it like a Tom Brady type thing?
Kind of.
No way.
So before we get into talking about what we think is going to happen in the debate, how we think or what kind of questions are going to be asked, we're going to look at some polling data before we get into the debate to kind of try to guesstimate what's going to happen. We are going to start off with Freak Hour.
Freak Hour.
Let's talk about some freak shit.
Okay.
But not freak shit in a good way.
Love freak shit.
Like if you're on some freak shit, you do you. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. But this is some like bad freak shit, conservative freak shit, if you will.
Uh-huh.
So let me pull up this article here and cut over.
Excellent. Also, Mason, while we're in the interim, you can just message us on Patreon with a phonetic pronunciation. I'll try my hardest.
We've been saying it wrong the whole time, probably.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Here's the headline. Mike Johnson admits he and his son monitor each other's porn intake in resurfaced video. I really hope this doesn't get our video taken down.
I'm
because
proud
that would
to tell you, my son has a clean slate. Has bro ever heard of incognito mode?
Has bro ever heard of like don't be fucking weird?
But like, does he check it though?
This right here, Mike Johnson is the current U.S. Speaker of the House, Republican, elected as the U.S. Speaker of the House.
Third in line for the president.
And see, but it's not just that,
They're second
right?
in line for the president.
Second in line.
Second in line.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Thank
the
you
heretic
so much,
off
the
rip.
heretic.
Once again, got to fund the indoctrination of our children and dumping of frog homosexuality chemicals into all U.S. waterways. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Mike Johnson talking about how he and his son monitor each other's porn intake. It doesn't end there because they have terms for it.
Terms?
He said he uses an app called Covenant Eyes, some weird evangelical shit.
Okay.
And then he said, it sends you a report on your accountability partner. My accountability partner right now is my son, Jack.
He's 17?
He's 17 years old, but we have a clip. Let's watch the clip.
With Covenant Eyes within your home. And so why is that such an effective tool? Why do parents need to put this into their home?
Yeah, that's great question. We probably could have called this more appropriately a war on the darkness of technology, because there are some good things with technology, of course. I mean, the Bible apps we all love. We broadcast our services, on our social media, and there's some very positive things, but there's also, as Clint's pointed out aptly, some really dark things. So Covenant Eyes is the software that we've been using a long time in our household. I first learned about it at
should be accountability partners
in the early 2000s. I think it was developed in about the year 2000. But it's the largest accountability software that
Could you imagine you get a push notification at like 10:30 at
night? Gage's streak is now 0 days. Hang on, I want to hear him say the thing.
I think everybody may have picked up on the way in. If not, go get it. It's a subscription-based. I mean, we don't make any money on this. I'm telling you, we use it. Okay, I'm endorsing it because I'm a user. It's about $15 a month, $16 a month, something like that. You get up to 10 devices. And what it is accountability software. So men in a church, men's Bible study groups.
Here we go. This is the part I was thinking of.
Promise keepers, but they also mention, hey, when your kids become teenagers, especially if you have boys, dads, they're talking to the guys at this event, you might want to think about doing this with your sons. And so we've been doing that. And so what it does real simply is it has an algorithm and software. It's way above my head how it works, but it scans. You obviously opt into it, but it scans all the activity on your phone, your devices, your laptop, tablet, what have you. We do all of it. And then it sends a report to your accountability partner. So my accountability partner right now is Jack, my son.
So you really do get a push.
He's 17. So he and I get a report of all the things that are on our phones or all of our devices.
That's crazy.
If anything objectionable comes up, your accountability partner gets an immediate notice. I'm proud to tell you my son he's got a clean slate, all right? Yeah. But we get a report and it says, hey, no activity of
That's
concern.
crazy.
And it's really sensitive. It'll pick up almost anything. It looks for keys.
So that's about everything that I wanted you all to see. To boil it down, he and his son are friends or partners on this app. This app tracks what you do on your phone, and they use it to track each other's quote-unquote porn intake. This is from last year, by the way. This isn't some like super old 2000s era clip. This
is from like a super old 2005 clip.
2022, last year, he admitted to monitoring his son's porn intake and his son monitoring him in turn.
That's crazy. Wait, the heretic. Does it
shit.
actually take a picture of your screen every minute?
That's some crazy data usage.
That's fucking nuts. What?
Accountability partners that's crazy. So the real question is...
It's using like GPT-5 to go through and just check everything on your screen.
Real question is, for our patrons in the chat, would you like us to put accountability partner in like the next tier that we... That's the next tier reward.
Like $100 a month. You can be my accountability partner.
Anyway, I wanted to start with some freak shit for the stream, and this was the craziest news story I could find.
Holy fuck! He's like, they're just sitting. So you want to talk about it?
He said his son has a clean slate, so I guess his son is doing fine. And see the thing is, like, I don't fully understand evangelical politics or the beliefs of evangelicals, but I thought the whole thing with Christianity was that you're supposed to not want to do it.
Yeah, because if you do, you'll grow hair on your hands. You'll grow hair on your hands, and I can't climb to heaven with hands full of penis.
I thought the idea was that your intentions should be so pure that you don't have any inclination or desire to want to do it. Not that you're coerced into not doing it because your dad will see.
You don't have to be a good person. You don't have to be a good person. You just have to do the thing that the thing says.
Maybe I just don't understand.
I'd love to be an accountability partner. That's crazy. I wonder if it can see like AO3. You know what I'm saying? Can it go through and look at fanfics and like pick apart?
Oh, Dad, I'm just reading an ebook.
Dad, I promise it is just Spider-Man fights Venom. There's nothing else going on here.
So anyway, we want to inspire leftist discipline. So the next tier reward, we're gonna unlock $50 tier. Will be your accountability partner.
But like, holy shit, he's 17 years old. Can you imagine him sitting in fucking class at like whatever private school he goes to, and he gets a push? He gets to push your dad, the speaker of the house.
Sorry, that's my fucking... He knows his dad is in work.
Crazy.
The floor is in session in the house. Sorry, that's my fucking dad. Just like Ted Cruz.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
Oh, man. Anyways, wanted to start off with the crazy story of Mike Johnson. I hope you all enjoyed that.
He definitely has a trap phone. Oh my God.
Yeah, I thought that shit was hilarious.
All 19 inches of venom.
That is 19 inches of venom. Okay, so... I guess we could talk about elections that happened last night.
Yeah. Moving on to a more serious topic.
A more serious topic. Very good news.
A dub.
If you all were paying attention to election news last night, a lot of like races and ballot measures were being called around midnight or so. Republicans got fucking clapped. It was really bad.
It was nuts. I was not expecting Democrats to like sweep in Virginia.
Yeah.
Like Glenn Youngkin's Virginia.
So there were a couple of key races. The first one, which I think is probably... at least it was the one that I was paying attention to the most.
Yeah.
Was the race in Ohio. And you can see here, Ohio abortion rights and actually marijuana access, both of them won last night by pretty wide margins.
That's insane.
Right to abortion is now enshrined into the Ohio Constitution by more than, this is 13%? That's a crazy margin. And then legalized marijuana by 14%.
Damn.
And this is like red Ohio, right? Like Ohio was thought to be red.
JD Vance's Ohio.
Yeah. So,
goes to show that these are issues that most people fucking care about, and they should just legalize it federally already.
Yeah, and like you could see if you were on Twitter at all, just the insane conservative cope. They were losing their fucking minds when this happened.
Yeah.
And I would assume that this is, I won't even assume, I'll just say, I could promise you this.
Oh, yeah.
That this is going to be something that's brought up at the debate tonight. The fact that abortion is incredibly important. Our thesis remains true that abortion will win in every state that it's introduced in, as it has already, and now red states like Montana, Ohio, Kansas, etc. Regardless of confusing wording, regardless of how many times Republicans try to sabotage the effort, it's always going to win because it's what the country wants. Country likes freedom.
Abortion persevering in Ohio, and I gotta let you guys know that end wokeness one of my favorite Twitter accounts, was not happy about it. This guy got on the waves and said, quote, "I know you guys are not ready to hear this, but here's the sad truth. Being anti-abortion is a losing issue. I say this as a staunch pro-lifer. America is addicted to abortion. Election after election has proven this. The public loves child sacrifice. Don't shoot the messenger." And then he followed that shit up with, this tweet did numbers, got like 2.4 million views. It's crazy. He said, "No, I am not advocating for an embrace of abortion, parentheses child sacrifice. The solution is to fix the godless culture plaguing our country." This is my favorite part. "This is why culture wars are the real battle, not election results." That's the craziest cope that I have ever heard.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't, like, imagine saying some shit like that.
That's nuts.
He's just pissed.
Israel replaces woke as the free space on the bingo card tonight. I think you're onto something there. I really do.
Here's another big election that happened.
Thanks for being here, Lilith.
Here's another big election that happened in Kentucky. The Democrat governor in very red Kentucky, more red than Ohio.
Mitch McConnell and
Rand Paul, Kentucky. A Democratic governor, the incumbent won again, Andy Beshear, by about 5%, a pretty healthy margin in a state like Kentucky. And Republicans immediately said it was voter fraud.
Nah, because it's like the real voter fraud that's going on in Kentucky is how Mitch McConnell can win every 6 years with a 13% approval rating.
Yeah, lowest of anybody in Congress.
Like, at least people like Andy. No one likes Mitch McConnell.
Andy Beshear's the GOAT. And apparently, like, I don't know much about Kentucky, their elections. I don't know much about Andy Beshear, but I do know that this dude religiously goes to like every single county in Kentucky. When they were hit with like crazy tornadoes and shit in 2021, he would like visit every affected area. Like, he was out there.
Nah, he's dope. He's come through consistently and vetoed shitty bills that the Kentucky State House like tries to pass.
So all the people that got called like blue hair SJWs or lazy socialists that were like, yeah, we can turn Appalachia and the Midwest into a socialist republic. They were right. They were fucking right. They were not lying about the ability of blue dog Democrats to get it done, because he won again, and that protects abortion rights in that state because, again, very red state.
He's already vetoed bills that have tried to take away abortion rights.
Yeah.
Bro's killing
that
it
and
there.
like bills on trans people, bills on all kinds of other really, really bad stuff.
Oh, that's true, Earth Empress. I'm forgetting about the most oppressed demographic, billionaires. So many people.
Brandon said, "My poli-sci professor thinks Mitch is going to die this year." Well, I hope your poli-sci professor is a fucking expert in the area, because that would be music to my ears.
Sorry, let me just hit a.
Hey guys, let me do my Mitch McConnell impression.
Sorry. I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to step out for a second.
Bro, what do you say?
We're gonna have to step out for a second.
No. Here's another big piece of news. Another place Republicans got torched. This is Virginia.
Hell yeah.
The purple-ish state of Virginia that's kind of been trending red with the election of Glenn Youngkin back in, 2021 at this point? Yeah, I think that was one of the first things we covered.
It was.
Democracy, playing Soggy Cookie with Democracy, that episode.
Oh my, he's got the title. That was like episode 13 or something like that.
So Democrats won their Senate with 21 of the seats now controlled by Democrats. And if we scroll down, Democrats, I think, retained the House.
Oh my gosh.
With 51 seats. And there was, I don't know if you all know this. I don't think we even covered this on the podcast.
Yeah.
There was a big controversy about District 57. Susanna Gibson apparently was caught to have done like some kind of pornography in the past, or had an OnlyFans or something like that.
Okay.
And she almost won her race. It was like a 4%, 3% margin.
And what's this district called?
Oh my God.
What's the name of this district?
There's 2 counties to this district, District 57 in Virginia for their House. One of the counties, the biggest county there, is called Goochland County.
Come on.
Which is so good. I'll see if I can pull it up actually. But I think it's pretty perfect. So Virginia went blue. Now both chambers are controlled by Democrats.
Democracy is tyranny of the majority. That's such a bar. That's such a bar for like dudes that love the Heritage Foundation. That's so good. All my homies hate Glenn Youngkin. Same. What has he even done in Virginia since he got elected? Probably nothing, since he hasn't had a trifecta.
I don't know how well you guys can see this, but on the right here, this is Goochland County.
Oh man, that's good.
Goochland County.
That's so good.
The OnlyFans model almost won Goochland County. That would have been
They
perfect.
should have just done it for the meme.
Yeah, the voters.
The voters should have just done it for the voters should have realized that the funniest option is always the best option, And that's what they should have gone with.
Just like if Donald Trump is in jail, will be voting for Donald Trump this presidential election.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Because that's the funniest option.
Absolutely.
I'm kidding, not actually. But that would be very funny. So that's Virginia. And if you thought we were done there.
No.
If you thought we were even done with Virginia, you're wrong.
My gosh.
I got another story out of Virginia. One we'll probably cover more in depth on the show.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, once some more news comes out about this. But right now we just know who won. And in Virginia,
oh, cool.
50, what House district was this? No, Senate district.
Okay,
I don't remember what Senate district it is. But this is the second trans state senator in U.S. history.
Gas.
I don't remember exactly what Senate House or Senate district this is in Virginia. But this is pretty big news. Because there's apparently a lot of anti-trans attacks for this person running, this individual. She was running for the Senate, and she won. Danica Rome. I don't know how to say that, but pretty big news. And conservatives were also losing their mind about this one as well because, they hate trans people.
I bet End Wokeness was not happy about this one in particular as well.
End Wokeness was not happy. I was having a lot of fun last night. I was up to like 1:30 just watching all of the crazy conservative tweets come in. It was good.
Oh my God. The cope is nuts. The cope is absolutely insane. I feel like they're coping harder than liberals coped in 2016, dare I say. I say.
The cope is absolutely crazy. Now, I do have to talk about some bad election news, some undesirable news, but not bad overall. Overall is a very good night for Democrats and bad night for Republicans. To illustrate how it was a bad night for Republicans, this was the Mississippi governor election. Now, the Republican did win, so that's not great. Yeah. But to be fair, in Mississippi, you expect a Republican to win statewide.
Absolutely.
For it to be a 4% margin here, 4.5% margin, that's crazy. Like for it to be even considered a competitive race in a red state like Mississippi,
the fact that Dog had
bad.
A chance is nuts.
Yeah.
And the fact that spoiler almost spoiled.
Yeah. It should never be in a red state like Mississippi this close. You think of Mississippi as like a state that is always red.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to bite your nails at this one.
Yeah, but a Democrat almost won here. And of course, almost doesn't count for anything in our system, but it shows where Republicans are right now.
Something to me.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get another wave of blue Texas come the next election. Maybe we'll get another wave of people coping about it. Maybe a blue Texas.
One day. I mean, if that happens, it's like over, right? Like that's it for Republicans in the Electoral College.
Texas had 14 proposed constitutional amendments, and all of them passed except the one trying to raise legal retirement age of state justices and judges. Huh.
I didn't hear about those in Texas, but interesting. And then the last one I have on my list is from Maine. Now, unfortunately, if we scroll down to question 3, this was to create like a statewide utility company that is owned by the state government. Yeah. This one failed by a large margin.
Damn.
So Karl Marx has not been revived in Maine, unfortunately. I think it was one of somebody on Twitter actually, I think, commented under our post about this. And they said something like, I think Nevada is the only state with a state-owned utility company that like operates all the power. And apparently they have like the cheapest rates in the country, which is like, of course.
I fucking wish. Wish. Oh my God. They could just stick with whatever their equivalent of DTE is.
Yeah. But
God damn.
Two of the good things that did come out of Maine, they're banning foreign campaign funding, which I guess might have been a problem for them. And then this one requires, if any power utility company wants to borrow more than $1 billion, they have to get approval from the voters on a ballot referendum.
I feel like that makes a lot of sense because we don't want the private power utility companies going bankrupt and just stopping service to everyone.
So no Karl Marx in Maine, but maybe a little bit of like, I don't know, LBJ or something.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. But that's
maybe an okay society.
So overall, Republicans got torched. It was not a good night for them last night, election night 2023. And I think a lot of Republicans, from what I saw, people like Charlie Kirk, Stephen Crowder, others, are noticing that this is bad for them. And I saw a lot of them, I don't know if you saw this, but a lot of them were just blaming Ronna McDaniel, the RNC chair, really? Which is like, it's Ronna McDaniel, not your horrible fucking policies like killing trans people or banning abortion throughout the entire nation or lowering taxes on the rich. Like, that's the problem.
I did see Charlie Kirk come out and start talking about how Vivek needs to be the new RNC chair. And okay, all right. He's like, he's good with
That's
young
good.
voters.
That's good.
Who? He
I
hates
would
young
love that.
voters.
Oh man, Vivek as the RNC chair would be so gas.
I'm so pumped for the RNC. That is probably like what outside of the general election itself, that's probably the thing I'm most looking forward to when it comes to this like next year of politics. That and like the debates, because those will be gas.
Someone said, "What's with the sword on the bed?"
Oh shit!
Is that Tanjiro's sword?
You
That's
already,
Tanjiro.
you already know I got it. I keep that fucking thing on me. You know what I'm saying?
The Demon Slayer fans know.
Hell yeah. Hell
In
yeah.
case. Don't judge.
Motherfucking Hirokami Kakara. Hey, boys, what's with... Oh, that's what it was. What can I say, bro? What can I say? No, I wonder what demons they're going to bring out at the RNC next year.
Ooh, yeah, because last time around we had the people who tried to shoot at BLM protesters.
Yeah, just the regular people who...
Just racists.
Started brandishing guns at BLM protesters coming near their house just a little bit.
Before the orgy stuff slipped, we had, what's his name? Madison Cawthorn stand up.
that was
sick.
Such a good moment.
That was a great moment, actually.
Like, how can they top that this time around? And now announcing Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah.
We would now welcome to the stage Bibi Netanyahu.
Victor Orban. That wouldn't be out of line.
That wouldn't he headlined CPAC, right?
CPAC. American
God.
CPAC. Oh my God.
Can we get a shelf start? Maybe one day.
When you guys read my review on the podcast, it was so cool. We're an equal opportunity vendor.
Speaking of reviews.
We will
Speaking of reviews. What
the hell?
I would hope that y'all listened to the episode today. Mm-hmm. And I think you would notice that some shit was lacking. And that's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
You guys got to get press passes to the RNC. See, okay, some background information. A couple of months ago, we found out that the Michigan Party GOP was doing a fundraising event or like their state summit.
It was like a Mackinac leadership conference.
Yeah, in Mackinac, and they were allowing press passes, like Michigan press, to come and like interview candidates and be there to document the event and stuff like that. So this was a Michigan Republican event.
Yes.
And we applied for press passes.
Vivek went.
Yeah, Vivek was
he
there.
Went and spoke. So did Kari Lake, the future vice president, maybe.
All kinds of people there. So we applied for press passes, and they never responded to us.
It was back in September. They completely fucking ghosted us. This was also when we were ratioing everything they tweeted for like a straight month.
Yeah.
So maybe some intern recognized that and said, no, fuck these guys. We can't let them
But all I'm going to say is what happened to free speech.
Exactly. What happened to freedom of the press?
Yeah, we wanted to go and document the event. We wanted to be silly because they were going to like provide lodging at the Grand Hotel. If you've ever been to Mackinac Island, you know that that's like an expensive place.
And it's like, I would like to be at the Grand Hotel for free. I would like to have a press pass and run around Mackinac Island.
Just being a dickhead to all the Republicans.
Just document the Demon Factory. Come on, that'd be so sick.
Yeah. Welcome back, Syndicate. It's good to see you.
Gosh.
Yeah, no, we tried. But
that one's been under wraps for a while. I've been kind of bitter about it.
It didn't work out. And it wasn't in the cards.
Could you imagine the content that would have came out of that? Could you imagine the Hito vlogs at the Mackinac Leadership Conference?
Yeah, wait a minute. We just saw Vivek. We got to talk to him.
I'd camp out. I'd fucking tent up and wait for that speech just so I could get front row.
Yeah.
The problem was going to Mackinac, bro. Mackinac sick.
It was going to be real journalism, yeah. One piece of news that we didn't cover on the show was my boy George Santos.
He cannot shut up recently.
George Santos, well, this wasn't even his fault, really.
Oh, really?
This is an article from the BBC. If you all didn't know, the House tried to vote to expel George Santos, and it didn't work.
They couldn't do it? They couldn't expel George Santos, but they could censor Rashida Tlaib?
Yeah, I was going to get to that in a moment, too. The vote was 179 to 113, and you need, I think, two-thirds majority to kick somebody out of the House.
Okay.
So I think that's like 290 votes or so. You may be confused, look at this number, think like, okay, who the hell are these people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't get all the Democrats, you didn't get all the Republicans. Apparently, there was a group of Republicans that didn't vote for it, or the Republicans that did vote for it specifically were the ones that are worried about being tied to him in New York elections that are coming up.
Okay.
The New York Republicans don't want to be associated with George Santos for obvious reasons,
That makes
I think.
sense.
But other Democrats voted against this measure.
Oh, because they respect the institution.
Basically.
Nice.
They respect the institution. He has an ongoing ethics investigation against him. So they wanted to wait until the results of that come out to cast their vote to kick him out of the House. And like, fine, I get it, due process. But the thing for me is like, The ethics investigation probably isn't going to tell us something that we don't already know.
It's like we know he lied. Like he lied like
he admitted to
3
it
separate times about 9/11.
Yeah.
About being personally involved in 9/11 as he slowly distanced himself every time we caught him lying.
Yeah.
He's under indictment in Brazil for like fucking stealing money. Campaign finance issues going on with his campaign right now. He just keeps fucking lying.
Yeah, but I guess I'm okay with the argument that they want to wait fully until the ethics investigation comes out. They share their findings, because that's going to be like 2 weeks away, week and a half away.
Yeah.
And then if they vote to expel him as they should, then I'll be cool with it. But I don't even know if they have the numbers to do that. So we'll see.
Definitely not. They
need like 290, I think.
That's so insane that they couldn't just get their shit together and just vote him out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No. We can't let these people go without representation. Because this representation is very good.
Yeah, I guess my problem is like he's being tried in court. He will get his day in court.
Yeah.
Congress doesn't really operate based on those rules. You know what I mean? Like this isn't if they kicked him out of the House, that's not a conviction. Other people have made this point, but you can get fired for much less without any kind of due process.
I could get fired for much less.
Yeah, I'm okay with them waiting until the ethics investigation is done, but purely as like a strategy matter, like kick him out whenever you get the chance, right? Like they might not have the chance again, but who knows? It's a piece of news that we should talk about. So
George Santos has also been going crazy on the pro-Israel shit too, despite not being Jewish, only being Jew-ish. His words, not mine.
And he hates anti-Semitism.
Oh God.
Now in some bad news, Gage kind of spoiled it a little bit.
Oh, my bad, gang.
So let me document this for you all. Hang on.
Okay.
I pulled up the wrong one first. Let me document this correctly for you all in chronological order.
What's up, Claire?
Oh my God,
Caleb. Whoa. Think they'll call for opinions on the main mass shooter?
No.
Did they? Yeah, absolutely not. Do they have the backbone to call him out? Well, if Mike Pence was on the stage, maybe he'd advocate for the death penalty. I feel like once the full story was figured out, his recent motivation, no one talked about it anymore. MAMS, bingo square. Nice.
Okay.
I found you guys almost a year ago and reflecting on that. What the
Thank
fuck?
you, Caleb.
It's been that long. Time flies with real friends.
Very real friends.
That's what I'm saying.
So last week, November 1st, so this was what? Last Tuesday?
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced this resolution to censure Rashida Tlaib for her comments on Palestine.
Weren't her palins just... Did she do the From the River to the Sea?
Yes.
Yeah, she just tweeted that, right?
She did that, and she said some other pro-Palestinian things. I don't know exactly what she said, but to my knowledge, they weren't anything out of the blue. Also, she is Palestinian herself, so it makes sense that she's going to, if anybody's going to, right?
Yeah, the only Palestinian woman in Congress.
Yeah, if anybody's going to do it. So in her resolution, what she wanted to condemn Rashida Tlaib for is being anti-Semitic, sympathizing with terrorists, and, quote, leading an insurrection.
An insurrection
I don't know
crazy.
what the fuck this means.
An insurrection is nuts.
Now, this resolution didn't pass. Republicans didn't vote for it. Democrats didn't vote for it. So this did not happen. This is not the thing that she got in trouble for recently.
Okay.
And then the other day, Rashida Tlaib did get censured over her Israel comments, but this wasn't the resolution introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene. But I don't know that really makes a difference because
I kinda wish
censuring someone doesn't mean anything.
I kind of wish it was like the resolution issued by like Boebert. Just to continue that feud, you know?
Yeah, Boebert gets one instead.
It's like how Boebert got the impeachment articles instead of Marjorie. That would have been cool.
Yeah, so she did end up getting censured. This is kind of just like a public slap on the wrist, though.
Censoring just means like, oh my God, we condemn the things she said.
Yeah.
Oh my, they'd censor Hamas if they could.
And what happened to free speech?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have her exact transcript here, but like, come on now. What are we talking about?
Didn't Marjorie Taylor Greene get censored like a couple months back?
Well, that was for being actually anti-Semitic.
Oh, yeah, that was for genuinely being anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
But my point is that, like, look, she's still yapping.
Here we go. We have it right here. She said on Twitter, this is what Rashida Tlaib
Literally,
said.
Veronica.
From the river to the sea is an aspirational call for freedom, human rights, and peaceful coexistence, not death, destruction, or hate. My work in advocacy is centered in justice and dignity for all people, no matter the faith or ethnicity. Now, some people, even on the left, have said that from the river to the sea is like a euphemism for wanting to kick all Jews out of the area or worse.
But, like, is it?
But I mean, slogans can be interpreted a lot of different ways. And like, I would be fine personally with abandoning this slogan. But what she's clearly saying here is Palestinian freedom, which is correct.
I trust that Rashida Tlaib is not a genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
This is all just a symptom of Congress's broader, we have to condemn Hamas really hard disease.
We have to condemn Hamas.
We have to condemn Hamas at every chance we get disease.
We need to condemn Hamas. Yeah, I don't really see an area. Like, if anything, like they can get mad about her using this. They can call it a euphemism, but to censure her in Congress, like this is what we're spending time on.
Yeah.
This is what we're spending time on when we have what?
Well, we got a budget to make up.
9 days until the budget is done, and I haven't seen any headlines about the budget even being prepared at this point.
Oh my God, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're working on a budget. They're only working on condemning Hamas really, really hard.
I'm sure something's going on behind the scenes, but they are very focused on condemning Hamas, and they condemned Rashida Tlaib for not condemning Hamas hard enough.
Nice.
Because I'm sure there was no point where she said, like, Hamas is fucking sick. Like,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That didn't happen.
It's so cool that Congress right now is really just all about condemning Hamas, and that's not an exaggeration. That's not it. There are 2 people in Congress, the ones who condemn Hamas, and I guess the one who didn't.
Guys, do you think they'll ask debate people if they condemn Hamas? I hope so, because I need to know the answer.
Oh my God. In one way or another, they have to. Do I think they'll do it like explicitly though? That'd be so fucking cool if they did.
If they just straight up say, like, do you guys condemn Hamas? No, because it's being hosted by NBC. I think the questions, I would hope, are going to be a little bit more responsible, at least with follow-ups. I hope they don't just directly ask, do you guys condemn Hamas? But NBC is liberal media, so who fucking knows?
Because, like, asking, do you condemn Hamas, that really opens the door for them to just say whatever they want, whatever genocidal rhetoric they have.
Speaking of condemning Hamas,
yes,
Barack Obama called us out. Did you know that?
Barack
Obama, former president of the United States, called out head in the office.
Barry got our dumbass?
It was
Jeremy and Gage.
Yeah. No, it was a bit more of a subtweet than anything else.
Okay, word. Because he listens, I know.
Yeah, he definitely is a listener, him and Biden. But Barack Obama went on Pod Save America recently, and he was interviewed by the Pod Johns. This is a rival podcast, a competitor in the market.
Is this from the same episode that we talked about on the show?
No, I brought up a different moment because I'd just be listening. You know,
classic.
I'd just be listening. But there was this one part in specific that I really want to talk about because he calls us out directly. Before this, if you want the context, he's basically just saying that like any solution to the Gaza issue has to recognize that we condemn Hamas, but also that what Israel is doing, the occupation, is bad and is harming people. So that's the setup. I'm not cutting out any context here, but we need to listen.
We're not clip chipping the former president of the United States.
I want to show you all what he said about us, directly us, Jeremy and Gage.
Go on for a while, and the problem
here we go
with the social media and trying to TikTok,
that's us. Fuck.
Activism and trying to debate this on that is you can't speak the truth.
Oh, shit.
You can pretend to speak the truth. You can speak one side of the truth. And in some cases, you can try to maintain your moral innocence, but that won't solve the problem. And so if you want to solve the problem,
fucking let me get my boots on the ground.
You have to take in the whole truth. And you then have to admit nobody's hands are clean, that all of us are complicit.
Us?
To some degree. I look at this and I think back, what could I have done during my presidency?
Fucking hospital Obama? Like, what the fuck are you saying?
So that about sums up the part that I wanted to show you. This is ostensibly Barack Obama, former president, talking about how people on social media, I'm guessing he's alluding to like TikTok leftists.
Oh, absolutely.
Can't speak the whole truth because they're not having conversations with other people about this.
But like also like that was just a nothing burger.
Yeah.
What is he talking about? Oh, you can speak some of the truths, but you can't speak the whole truth but you also have blood on your hands because I also have blood on my hand. We all do to some degree have blood on our hands, but you especially can't speak the whole truth. You definitely can't have a nuanced understanding of things that are going on or maybe want to talk about and speak out using your platform and influence about things that are going on.
Does he know TikToks can be like 3 minutes long, even longer?
Yeah.
Like TikToks can be like 10 minutes, 20 minutes long. No, I think 10 minutes is the max now.
Does his fucking astronaut in the ocean on his top 50 songs of like 2020 ass think that TikTok is still just 15-second dance videos?
I don't know.
And I'm not saying like I'm doing some great thing getting on here and talking about Israel, but What is he saying?
I think his argument is something like we need to be able to talk to the other side, which is like fine. But I definitely reject this idea that if we just came together and talked about it, that Netanyahu would stop killing innocent people.
Yeah.
Like, that isn't the issue here. Like, authoritarians usually can't just be talked down.
Yeah, and it's like, Brock, I do recognize that there are bad people on both sides. That's why I'm talking about it. Because the media apparatus that you were a part of, the political apparatus that you continue to be a part of, despite you not being president, continues to prop up the genocidal lunatic as if he's doing nothing wrong.
Right, yeah.
The mainstream stance, the stance of the United States State Department is that Israel is really not doing anything wrong. The State Department, Biden, you, Anthony Blinken, they're the people that are going out there and saying, no, actually, Israel are the good guys and Hamas are just the bad guys. We condemn them, by the way. I don't understand what bro's getting at.
I don't know either. But yeah, that was Barack Obama. Yeah, on to nothing. And
we're also sending $100 million in aid to Palestine, so that's cool. We're sending like $14 billion in like I think it's like there was like a breakdown I saw on some senator's thing. It's like $3 billion to just bombs, but $100 million to aid that can get through there like 2 trucks at a time a week.
Yeah,
is definitely gonna be good enough to offset it. Is it working?
My bad.
Nice.
It is working, but we don't have an image.
Maybe we'll get there eventually. I promise civility politics will work, guys.
Check out this
Please
fucking.
just be civil.
This is NBC right now live, just white screen.
Can you believe this?
No image at all. This is the liberal media. This is what they're doing.
We
to us.
would run a better media apparatus than they would.
Yeah. Can I like get this off my screen? Oh my god.
God damn.
Barack Obama just not spitting.
The Pod John's really coming through with just intellectual takes. My favorite part of that whole clip is how when people just started like clapping.
Is certainly
just 3 people just started clapping just right in the middle of him talking.
For context,
nothing.
that was an event celebrating the 15th anniversary of Barack Obama being elected in 2008.
Oh.
So that was like the kind of person there is like an Obama head. You know what I mean?
I guess. Yeah. Would have voted for him for a 3rd time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's Barack Obama calling out head in the office directly. Kind of sad, right?
Golly. I wrote reviews over Twitter. Cynic, you gotta tag us in those. Unless we missed them. In that case, my sincerest of apologies. If I've ever done anything wrong, I sincerely apologize. Let me know.
Okay, so NBC is live on YouTube right now, just like us for real. Don't go watch them.
Yeah. Stay where
you are.
Here.
The advantage we had last time and the other time was that Fox News was not streaming on YouTube, so we were like the only the only source. We had a monopoly in the market, but I see they're pushing back against us, which is actually very upsetting.
Can you believe that?
I really can't.
Me personally, I can't. Oh, I'm pumped for this. I hope they don't run out of steam in 20 minutes again. That would be bad.
Yeah, let's hope not, right?
I hope they can keep it going for the full 2 hours. And I hope that Ron talks more, despite our theory being that his campaign team is putting the gag on him so that he doesn't say anything stupid.
Yeah, Mr. DeSantis, for real.
Who has the great figurine collection in case? So cool. This fucking guy right here. Thank you. They suspended the minister who proposed to nuke Gaza. I just learned about that like yesterday.
That's sick.
That's insane. Some member of BB's cabinet got out there and said, no, we can just nuke that shit. We can just nuke it all.
Let's
and then
go.
he said, whoa, guy, come on, get out of here.
Whoa, guy.
For the meantime. Whoa, guy.
That's sick.
You have that same hat. It's a good hat. You can get that hat in theoffice.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good while supplies last.
Hopefully NBC doesn't like copyright us, because that would be really upsetting.
I know if it was CNN, they would, because they're scraping for cash because they're a failing media operation. But
And maybe they need it.
Maybe, maybe we could help them out.
All right, one last thing before we make our bingo sheet, as we always do. I wanted to look at a little bit of this polling data because we got
we didn't
a lot
get
of
around
information
to it last episode. But
so
it's pretty big.
These are polls for eligible voters that are considering voting or plan to vote in the Republican primary election. So this has nothing to do with Biden or Democrats or anything like that.
Yeah.
There have been a couple stories you might have seen about people freaking out that Trump is winning or being polled as the winner in, I think, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania.
Is Arizona also a battleground?
Arizona,
It
Georgia,
might be
yeah.
Arizona, Georgia.
And I think Biden was only winning in Wisconsin by like 1 or 2%. We can talk about that in a moment.
I think he lost all 6.
Oh, did he?
In the poll, he was losing all 6, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a moment, but what I wanted to focus on is in some polls here, you can see that Trump doesn't have more than 50%. Now, this doesn't really offer much of an on-ramp for anybody to take over Donald Trump's majority or plurality of the vote.
Yeah.
But it does seemingly indicate that it's possible in the longest of shots, right? Like if we look at this poll right here, Trafalgar Group, you can see he's at exactly 50%. That means if you combine the rest of them, theoretically...
If all the candidates merge Power Ranger style, there is 5 of them, they could make one super candidate, the Megazord candidate, and they could possibly topple Donald Trump with a coin toss.
Well, okay. Here's how I want to frame this. So, first of all, I want to point out Nikki Haley's in first in this poll, not Ron, or second, I should say. First of the second placers.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley's ahead of Ron DeSantis is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think Haley's going to be center stage? Is she ahead in that many polls?
I don't know. It looks like DeSantis has the lead over her, but she's in second place, right? Vivek's kind of fallen off since then. You can see he's at 4% right here in the most recent poll. What do I want to say about this? So it's not clear to me that in a world where Donald Trump can actually be competed against, that all of the voters that say put DeSantis first go to someone other than Donald Trump, right? Like you could imagine, say Donald Trump was at 44% right here. And you could make an argument that, okay, if everybody but Ron DeSantis drops out, maybe Ron DeSantis can pull enough of a majority to win enough of the early states to clinch the nomination. It's not clear to me that like all of the Nikki Haley voters, all of the Vivek voters, all of the Scott voters, like it's not clear to me that they all go to the not Donald Trump option. It could be that some people just like Nikki Haley, but they're like, yeah, I'll choose Trump. You know what I mean?
I think a significant portion of Haley voters just don't fucking vote if she's not in the race, or they go DeSantis. I think they would go DeSantis. I think Ramaswamy, they're going hard Trump. Pretty much everyone else that's in the race is just going hard Trump. So that gives them what? By the biggest of estimates, that gives DeSantis 27%, 28%.
Yeah, and like that's not enough to win, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
In Republican primaries, it's winner take all. If you win a plurality of the votes in Iowa, say Trump wins 30%, no one else gets 30%, he gets all of the delegates from Iowa. So if you're not winning pluralities, you don't win the election. So there's really no chance that any of these people can catch up to him. I think the best candidate to do that, the one who is most different from Trump that can draw enough distinctions, is probably Nikki Haley.
That's what I'm thinking. Because what? DeSantis has ran his whole campaign like, oh, I'm Trump, but like not Trump. I'm Trump without the baggage.
Yeah, but like what voters is she pulling from other than like the Lincoln Project guys and some Republicans who are tired of Donald Trump? Or like she's got 15% here.
Well, yeah, that's the issue.
Like we're theorizing over 15%.
I think DeSantis and Christie voters would go Haley, but nobody else.
Yeah, like I just don't see a world where they can catch up, which is why these debates are futile. But we're gonna cover them anyway.
And it's also like you got to take in consideration that like a lot of conservatives are just hella misogynistic and would never vote. And this is a conservative primary.
Yeah.
So this is when abortion wins. This is like the only instance where being pro-life actually is a good thing for you.
Yeah, and here are the polls that were making some people a little nervous. These are national polls, but they have Trump coming out ahead, and this one even factors in RFK. And they say he's getting a whopping 23%.
I don't think that's some
true.
Bullshit.
I don't
There's
think that's real.
absolutely no way.
But these were the polls that were making some people nervous. You see they're pitting up Nikki Haley against Biden, and Haley's winning. They're pitting up Kamala Harris even against Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is winning. And then you got Biden and Trump, where Biden is losing. A couple of things to mention here. First of all, when it comes to polls like this, there's a margin of error. So even if these numbers are, 44 to 49 right here, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually where the numbers will fall, because the margin of error does exist.
Yeah.
Second of all, these numbers don't add up to 100%. I think there's about 7% of votes still on the table here. 7% of votes is enough to win an election.
Absolutely.
Especially when you take into account the margin of error.
Comfortable majority.
I would say be nervous, right? Like be worried about the election, but don't freak out if you see these numbers. Freaking out's not going to help
And it's also like, we're a year out.
Yes.
We're a year out from the election.
So much can change.
So much is going on. These polls happened before so many people started like vocalizing their not support for Joe Biden anymore. Who knows what's going to happen? But Zen, I do appreciate your comment. As a virgin, I'm happy for some representation in the form of Tim Scott. I'm glad he can be that. I'm glad. Maybe we do need some more diversity in the cabinet.
Yeah, look, our position has always been that we're not making fun of Tim Scott for being a likely virgin. We just want him to be honest.
Yeah.
We just want him to be the representative he should be.
You know, I don't think that's maybe that hot of a take. I think Haley would have better odds against Biden than Trump would.
Yeah.
But I don't think Republican voters would ever let it get to that place.
Yeah,
because I could see Haley sweeping a lot of moderate Dems.
Yeah, the idea is that she's more moderate and therefore can appeal to more people that may go to Biden if they don't like Donald Trump or they put off by Donald Trump because he's an incredibly unpopular politician. I think Nikki Haley would be a harder opponent, but as you said, in this political environment where extremism is seemingly winning on the Republican Party, on the side of the Republican Party, like how does Nikki Haley win the primary?
Yeah.
Right? Like she has to win. She has to somehow
there's no
siphon at least a plurality of votes away from everybody else in Iowa and in New Hampshire and then get enough momentum to win. Now, I have seen some people saying that if if anybody other than Donald Trump manages to win in Iowa or New Hampshire, that could generate enough inertia to take them to the victory. A lot of things can change in the weeks between primary elections early on, but that's like such a Hail Mary move, right?
Oh, yeah,
that is like basically impossible.
You're saying if she wins Iowa, that steam could take her all the way?
It could generate some momentum that will get more people behind her.
Weren't there a couple conservatives that tried to do that in 2016 and that shit absolutely backfired? Like they only campaigned around Iowa in the first couple spots and that absolutely backfired. I think Bernie win Iowa?
Well, I think this is what Trump did in 2016. He
really?
lost in Iowa. I think he came in second or third, and then he won New Hampshire and won a lot of other states. And then Bernie, actually in Iowa, Bernie and Pete tied. And then
my God,
New
that's
Hampshire,
insane.
Bernie Sanders won, and then South Carolina, Joe Biden won, and then everyone was dropping out at that time.
And then Barack Obama came in and
Biden.
gave the layup to Joe.
And then Joe Biden won the election.
That's crazy.
The primary election.
Fetterman's take was
dog shit.
Fucking so surprising.
Basically in line with Biden's, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which frankly, I don't really know why I'm necessarily surprised. But it's just because he's been progressive in other ways. You know what? Fucking reinstate that dress code. I'm petty now.
Yeah.
I'm petty now.
You know what? Our senators should look good at the job.
You know what?
Fucking
we
wearing
should
shorts.
Project professionalism in the office now.
So, I think this brings us to the moment we've all been waiting for.
Come on, baby. It's bingo time. It's bingo time.
I think it's bingo time.
What are our predictions in the chat? What do we think is going on?
Yeah, we need you all to help because we got about 12 minutes until the debate starts.
It's like this is also, I feel like this is a harder one. This one might be a little more challenging.
You think so?
Than the other ones because there are only two things that have happened since the last debate. Israel and Mike Johnson.
So once we're done with this bingo card, we'll post it on Twitter. We'll send it in the Discord. You all can keep track for us, but we need spots to put on the bingo card here.
Yes,
you can see I have fentanyl already because that's a gimme.
Oh,
That's a gimme.
Post-Halloween Fent talk? Come on.
Fent posting, yeah.
Come on.
I guarantee we get a story about how there was Fent in this kid's fucking apple or something.
Oh, there was Fent in this kid's apple, and his dad was a cop, and when his dad went to check the candy, he touched the Fent that was on the wrapper and had a seizure and, I don't know, fucking died or something.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Honestly, if you're giving me candy on Halloween, I want Fent in it.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Condemn Hamas. We're getting
level Gaza.
level Gaza would be sick. Do you think we get opioid crisis talk?
Why?
Like outside of fentanyl? I've seen a lot of people like posting about opioid crisis.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe that's something that's coming back.
Heelgate. That's a long shot, but I'm willing to put it on here because I would like to see it happen.
Yeah, you know what? Let's put it on there because we want it.
Okay.
Let's put it on there because we want it.
All right, I'll put a Heelgate on here or Bootgate.
Sometimes you gotta have a little bit of fun. Tim Scott has the most extreme level Gaza. Did Tim Scott make it? He did, right?
Tim Scott's there, yeah.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to hear it.
Contestants are Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Chris Christie, I think. I don't think Doug made it.
Oh, Carson, that's a great point. I feel like somebody will give Mike Johnson props for being super religious. I wonder if Tim Scott has an accountability buddy.
Let's say Glaze Mike Johnson.
Oh, I took one Mars bar and it killed a child. Democrat wins yesterday. Oh, they're gonna talk about the results of yesterday's elections. They're going to ask them what they think about that and what they think their place is.
Republicans lost everywhere.
Hell yeah. Border. A bunch of people were putting border in there. I think we're absolutely.
You know what's crazy about the border is I recently learned that Joe Biden. It's like crazy that I'm learning things when I'm like always paying attention to this stuff. I learned that in one of the more recent packages, infrastructure packages they tried to do, or maybe even the Israel funding, Joe Biden was asking for border funding, and they didn't give it to him.
What?
He was asking for like $10 billion in border funding, and they wouldn't give it. Which is like, all right, that's so fucking sick. There's a crisis at the border, but I'm not going to give you any money to solve it.
Deal with it.
Because there's like apparently legit. Well, we know there's legitimate issues, but to the extent that he wants to solve them, who knows?
Zen, Donald Duck, Christie dropping a Donald Duck. I think so. The abortion segment is going to be a doozy. Oh yeah, abortion staple of the modern GOP.
You think he hits the same joke again?
He has to.
I would probably.
He's been dropping it on Twitter, hasn't he? Or has that just been us making fun of him? I can't tell anymore. I can't tell.
We got to put back on here. Christie's a liberal.
Life imitates art. Ohio abortion law gets caught up. Do you think Ohio gets brought up specifically?
The abortion law, maybe, because that's going to be like high level news.
All right, let's put up Ohio
I bet at least the
abortion.
moderators will lead into a question like last night, Ohio voted to, yeah.
Ohio child sacrifice.
Child sacrifice. That shit's so sick. I love that framing.
Who do we think has the first like look into the camera? It's got to be Christie, right? It's got to be Christie.
I got to look at you guys for this one.
Stares into the camera again.
A Muslim ban. Trump did call for it, so I wouldn't be surprised if Vivek or if DeSantis said something like that. Like we need to reinstate the Muslim ban, but they'll call it something else. Like
will Ukraine get brought up? That's a fuck.
By Nikki Haley. We got to remember Pence is off the stage now.
I think Ukraine can get brought up just so that Nikki Haley. I think Nikki Haley wants Ukraine to get brought up because that's one of the things that like made her win the last couple debates. Can someone say something about Rep Tlaib? Oh fuck yeah! We think
they'll say some shit like we have terrorists like Rashida Tlaib in the U.S. House.
Terrorists in the House. Someone's going to say something out of pocket, completely unproud. Well, this is the GOP debate.
It's kind of the whole point, right?
Oh, DeSantis saves them all again.
Oh, that's a good prediction.
You guys are good at this. Oh my goodness. Third time's really the charm. Oh my god.
DeSantis saves the collective question. Yeah.
Do we think there's Hamas flowing through the southern border, or Hamas comes to the U.S.?
yes. Trump's been on about that. Has DeSantis been on about that too?
I mean, DeSantis and Vivek love biting his whole flow, so
that's true.
They just can't do it right. Vivek wanting to murder the earth. Drill, frack, burn.
Drill, frack, burn.
He's gotta hit it again.
Clean coal, baby.
Pence unfortunately dropped out of the debate. No more hard moments like we need to do the death penalty for people who kill themselves.
Oh man, that was a good one.
Ideology screening at the border. That was crazy.
Wild clip, huh?
Wasn't there a like a House resolution to just fucking get rid of like every Palestinian in the country?
What?
Or some shit like that. I don't know. UAW is woke. Maybe they didn't talk about the UAW last time, and I was really disappointed. Right?
Oh.
Or did they mention it?
Yeah, they did because they asked Tim Scott like, "Do you want to literally kill all workers?" Yeah. Homelander smile. Yep.
We have Christie as a liberal. Okay. I've been sleeping with a teacher. Unfortunately, Mike Pence dropped out of the race.
Yeah, we're not going to get one of those again.
Do we have parental rights?
No, but I'll add that.
Parental rights. I think that covers the LGBT and schools.
Yeah, because it's all a euphemism for hating gay people.
Oh, Vivek raises his hand. Gun control.
I swear, Vivek's tactic for the debates is just talk as much as possible.
It's got to be. I love the hand raises. I really do.
Call him a teacher. I love a respectful hand raise.
What can I say?
Been sleeping with Mike Pence.
You know who hasn't been sleeping with a teacher? You know one person on that stage tonight that we can say categorically has never slept with a teacher.
Parental rights, buzzer violations. Yeah, speak past the buzzer.
Do we think we're gonna get a double buzzer again?
Double ding.
Double ding. Been all over Ohio these past 2 weeks. Project
Oh
2025.
Dylan makes a good point. You think Nikki Haley will do make a woman joke? You know what I mean?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like,
fuck yeah.
I can do everything you can do, but in heels. And then Ron DeSantis is like, actually. So can I.
Look at these right here.
Oh man, I want Bootgate to come up so bad.
I want somebody to go up and just like press on the toe of his shoe to see that there are no toes in there.
Oh my god,
they're
yeah,
way too long.
The moderators, fucking Lester Holt's like Vivek DeSantis. I need you to step forward.
Everybody feet out. Everybody feet out.
Yeah.
Hit him with what's your shoe size?
Yeah, DeSantis takes his boot off and he shrinks 5 inches.
They put the little Foot Locker thing up to it to get your.
DeSantis wearing heels. Yeah, we got Bootgate on here. Yeah.
Invade Mexico. Do they hit that again? I think they could. I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Invade Mexico.
All right, we got to speed run these last 3. We only got a few minutes.
Oh fuck! What's in our free space this time?
Nothing yet.
Nothing. Fuck. Shit. Fuck.
We did not get as much woke as I thought we would, and honestly, the woke culture wars kind of died down since the whole Israel thing started.
Oh, and wokeness really thinks the culture war is the only thing that matters, and not electoralism. So I think that's cool that he thinks that. Someone steps on the toes during a greeting. Everyone get the dogs out.
Something Zionism. Yeah, that's kind of like level Gaza. It's going to be alongside we need to kill everybody in Gaza.
I think we throw woke in a corner.
Really?
I think we throw woke in the last corner spot. Okay. Free space is Israel. I think free space is just Israel in general because we know it's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
We know it's happening. Now, the real question is, do we think any of them are against sending money to Israel? I think Vivek might be.
Oh, on some anti-Semitism shit?
Not on some anti-Semitism, but on an extension of his America First wave.
Okay.
I think Vivek could get on some
Yeah.
Why are we spending money on these foreign wars?
As a populist appeal.
Yes.
Even though he would still send money to Israel.
Oh, 100%.
Like he's going to say it.
He cross his T's
appeal
and
to the public,
dot his I's.
Yeah. How long is the debate? Is 2 hours. Again, it's
Always.
all of 2 hours.
Yeah, let's get that on there. Let's get on the somebody doesn't want to send money to Israel. Oh, budget. Government shutdown. Impending government shutdown. I can't wait for that.
I would be genuinely shocked if someone said no money to Israel. I'm pretty sure all of them have come out as pro-Israel, but we'll see.
I feel like Vivek is the most likely one up there to do it.
Or he might say, I'm Israel's strongest ally.
Whoa, now. I am Israel's strongest ally.
I'll say government shutdown.
Anti-Semitic dog whistle. That'd be great.
Well,
I fully support Israel while throwing in something crazy.
Yeah.
Saying the word condemn should be.
All right, we got condemn Hamas.
Yes,
right
we
here.
do. 2 hours to pick a second place winner. Raise the voting age. Oh, he's hitting that gun control. Do we want to throw the last 2 spaces as gun control and lower the voting age? Actually, raise the voting age.
Lower the voting age. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
Anybody gets to vote.
I'm saying.
8-year-olds.
I'm saying.
Raise the voting age and
$7 coffee, avocado toast. Oh, do we have anything about the speaker on here?
The glazed Mike Johnson.
Good. That's good.
All right. Are we settled with this? We got 2 minutes until the debate starts.
If they glaze Mike Johnson too hard, he might get an accountability report.
His son's phone dings. Shit.
His son's watching the debate and they're just glazing him way too crazy. And then they have a talk the next morning.
Not the glazing. All right, here's our debate card. I will real quick find a way to post this on Twitter.
That is so insane, having a program on your phone and your son's that takes a picture every minute and sends a report to the other one. That's nuts.
Yeah, that is wild.
You're not even going to allow him the space to get creative with it. Mm-hmm. It's not even like the tuning exams where they're supposed to cheat. It's crazy.
All right, let me.
What does glaze mean in this context? They fucking love.
They slop
Mike
them up.
Pence. They leave no meat on that bone.
None at all.
None.
They glaze them up. You know what I'm saying? They glaze them up. They hype them up. They're just slopping on it.
That's right. They're putting him on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But not to push him down like I would.
To hold him up as a shining example of what every father should be.
Yeah, solid card for this night. What do we think the odds are for bingo? What do we think the odds are for 1 bingo, 2 bingo, maybe even 3 bingos? We've been hitting 2 bingos pretty frequently. What are the odds for 3? Let's get our predictions in the chat. Let's hit up FanDuel and drop a parlay on this.
Trying to make some money.
Let's drop a parlay on the polling results.
Yeah, so people got to keep track of this for us because we'll be commentating. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're working right now.
That's right. Is that hat on sale? Yes, sir. At headintheoffice.com.
Headintheoffice.com. All of our merch is on sale. Link should be in the description if I didn't fuck it up.
And if it's not in this description, it's in the description of the last episode.
Or you could just type in headintheoffice.com.
That's right. That's right.
Glaze is a new term for olds like me. Don't worry about it. You're not old. You're so young,
exactly.
Actually.
You're so young. You're actually the best. One of the oldest patrons, though, however. So one of my bestest friends.
Yeah. People saying bingos are just guaranteed, basically. Full guard.
Three bingos.
100% predictions. We took some risks. I don't know.
There's some risks on there, you know?
All right. I say we start
4, 3, 2, 1.
A little bit loud, guys.
Oh, imagine if I started freestyling right there. All right,
Here we
what's
go.
the intro?
Tonight, a critical test in the race for the White House. 5 Republicans
Keep turning it up a little bit.
become their
720p, yeah.
party's 2024 presidential nominees.
Yeah, there we go.
The candidates ready to make their case on
This
why
is
they're
so
prepared
much
to be
lamer
commander-in-chief
than the fucking
amid
Reagan
2
one
wars
last time.
on the world
Yeah.
stage. How they plan to tackle stubborn inflation and how they
Shoplifting.
can unite
I
a
forgot
deeply
about that one.
divided electorate.
Hang on a
Who
second.
is best to take on President
My bad,
Biden? And can any of them first beat former President Trump, who's far ahead in the polls? The candidates are here.
You guys can't see. You guys
Florida
can't see.
Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN ambassador.
I was trying to crop
Nikki
the frame.
Haley,
So embarrassing.
Entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yes.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. And
You
South
think they're going to have
Carolina
something
Senator
fucking sick,
Tim
like an
Scott.
airplane hanging over the thing again?
Sorry, guys. I was trying to crop the frame. I know you couldn't see. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Debate
Fucking woke mob can't be happy with anything.
from the Adrian Arst Center in Miami, Florida.
Okay. What is that knockoff? Like,
It's Miami.
this isn't nearly as cool as the hangar they were in last time with the fucking helicopter.
tacky, but it was
plane.
cool.
It was so tacky. It was awful, but
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Republican presidential debate. I'm Lester Holt.
Tiny
anchor
ass
of
desk.
why
NBC
he Dennis
Nightly
Prager
News.
looking?
Good evening, I'm Kristen Welker, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press.
He's probably a good guy.
Hugh
My
Hewitt,
bad.
host of Salem
Oh,
Radio's
Hugh
The
Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt Show.
We are now
Hugh
just
Hewitt.
68 days from the
Nice.
Iowa caucuses when Republican primary voters will begin
say
to
60
determine their
days from
party's
the Iowa
nominee for
caucus?
president. Tonight, we'll question 5 candidates seeking that nomination on how they're best prepared to be commander-in-chief.
Let's go.
And of course, how best to bring down prices impacting Americans across the country. We
Come
have
on.
2 hours for a
Drop
serious
Bidenomics.
debate on the issues that matter most
Serious
to
debate?
Republican voters.
That's crazy.
Candidates will have 1 minute and 30 seconds for answers and the opportunity for a closing statement. Follow-ups
minute
will be at
30?
the discretion
That's
of
longer
all
than
of
last
us at
time, right?
the table, the moderators.
Fuck, we might not get any
Invoking
double
a candidate's
dings.
name or policy does not necessarily mean the mentioned candidate is entitled to a response.
Oh.
We want to caution all the candidates not to interrupt
that
or
dumbass.
speak over your fellow debaters.
looking at?
If you talk over each other, the voters
It looks
can't
like they're
hear
looking
you.
at their notes before
And
a
given
test.
the critical issues we're facing specifically on the world stage,
Nimarata, let's
we want
go.
everyone to hear every word you have to
That's
say.
her real name, by the way.
Continued interruptions may result in loss of additional questions. And to our audience, please
They're
hold
making
your
fun of you.
applause
They're
so that
making
the
fun of me.
candidates
Hey,
can
bruh.
be heard.
If you were here
With that
last
said,
time, they're making fun of you
let's
too.
have a good debate.
Not
All right, our
popcorn.
first
Not
question, the
popcorn.
only
Come
question
on,
is
classic.
It's popcorn.
I'm always classy.
Donald Trump is the first ex-president in more than 100 years to run for the White House again. And he remains popular among Republican primary voters as his legal challenges mount. Governor DeSantis, let me begin with you on this one.
Sick.
Speak to Republican voters who are supporting Donald Trump. Why should
Yeah.
you
Ooh, he's mad.
and not him be the Republican nominee to face Joe Biden a year from now?
Start
a little
strong.
unfair.
This country is in trouble, and the elites that have put us here, they don't care about you.
Yo.
They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or have higher gas prices. They don't care that your family's less secure because of the open border that's allowed drugs and even terrorists to come into this country.
Terrorists.
Well, I care. I am
Hamas.
not going to sit
Hamas.
idly by and let this country continue its downward spiral. We need leadership, and we need it now. I'll take the hits. I'll take the arrows. I'll take the slings.
Okay, but
'Cause
Trump
ultimately,
solves
it's not about me.
Israel-Palestine in 20
It's about
minutes.
you.
Like,
I will fight
what
for
are you
you.
gonna do?
I will make sure to lead this country's revival, and I will win for you and your family. Actions speak louder than words.
Actions?
We don't have time for excuses, and it's not something that we're going to be able to have all these distractions. As a veteran, I will get the job done. Now, if you look where we are now, it's a lot different than where we were in 2016. And Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016.
Oh, here we go.
He owes it to you to be on this stage and explain why he should get another chance. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing. In Florida,
we just got a bingo.
I showed how it's done.
Bro saw that Nikki Haley was ahead of him in the polls and decided he was going to fucking speak.
Including a massive landslide right here in Miami-Dade County. That's how we have to do it. So I promise you this, as the nominee next November, I'll get the job done, and as president, I will deliver.
Crazy because, like,
Let me turn to
he's unironically competing against people who think that Trump would solve every problem in the Middle East in 2040.
Why you and not the former president?
Well, I think you look at the fact that we're almost $34 trillion in debt. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of American families
that's your
can't
fault.
afford diapers. 1 in 6 American families can't pay their utility bills.
Bro, that's your fault.
And, like, what do you...
Oh,
no. And,
not the buffering.
What is she going to do about it, though?
Why did it stop working?
Fuck.
Censorship.
NBC, get your shit together.
Are they taking the stream down?
Oh, my God.
Hang on, guys. I'm so sorry. Let me try to refresh.
Shit. Do you think that NBC...
1 in 6 American families can't pay their utility bills.
Like, what are you going to do about
it? The fact that he used to be right on Ukraine and foreign issues, now he's getting weak in the knees and trying to be friendly again. I think that we've got to go back to the fact that we can't live in the past. We can't live in other headlines. We've got to start focusing on what's going to make America strong and proud. And that's what I'm focused on doing. Let's make sure we pay down our debt. I think we need an accountant in the White House. Let's make sure that we have transparency in the classroom. As a mom, I know what that means. Let's make sure we secure our borders so that our families are safe. Let's get crime down because our families want to know that they can be safe no matter where they go. And as the wife of a combat veteran, I will tell you, a military needs to know we have our back, and we need to make sure that America is safe.
I wanted to put wife of a combat veteran on the bingo card, but I thought it was a long shot again. I thought she wasn't going to hit it again.
And that was just classic, like, Republican populism. None of it means anything. Of course, they cause all those issues that she listed.
She will actually make it so that 1 in 3 families can't afford to pay their utilities.
And the voters want and need to hear them. Mr. Ramaswamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night.
Nice.
We become a party of losers at the end
Hell
of the day.
yeah.
There's a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ron McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk.
Going after NBC?
We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party.
Doug, he asked you why you're running.
Joe Rogan. Why are you running for president? Joe Rogan should be asking me questions.
Democratic debate. They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Christian, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation?
Is this working?
I don't know if it's bars. I can't tell.
Mr. Ross.
He thinks he ate that shit, though.
Look at her laughing.
We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election. And they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
This is gas.
Governor Christie.
Dude, if they keep up this steam, this is going to be the best fucking debate right now. I'll put it out there.
Let's not do this.
I'll put it out there. I'll put the whimsy.
Governor Christie, why you and not former President Trump?
Well, Lester, look.
Duck in the media.
You said it
at
the beginning of the debate. We are dealing with extraordinarily important issues facing this country.
Is that a brown suit?
We have our greatest ally in the Middle East under fire from a terrorist group that has committed
unprofessional
to wiping them and every Jewish person in this world off the map. We have Ukraine with Vladimir Putin, a communist KGB dictator who wants to put the old band back together.
Chill out.
He's starting in Ukraine, and he's going to move to the Baltics and Poland after that.
Sure.
We have inflation in this country that is choking every American family that wants to try to rise up and give their children a better life.
What are you going to do
And
about it?
tonight, we need to decide which president is going to be the one to tackle the big issues, who's going to make this country look once again, not just inward, but look outward at the world and say America is the country, the indispensable
They look
nation
so much better on this stage than they did at the Reagan Library or whatever that was.
American innovation, American hard work has always been the thing.
Yeah, Christie's
driven our country
boring my
to
ass
greater
off
things.
right now.
I'm going to be the president. We're not going to be small, and I'll say this about Donald Trump. Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and
it's a political persecution.
Cannot lead this party or this country,
right,
and it needs to be said plainly.
Governor, thank you.
The minute 30 seconds is really giving them like
it's too long,
too much time.
Win. Make your case to Republican voters.
Well, certainly. What I would say without any question is that the truth
energy
of my
way down.
life destroys the lies of the radical left. We need a president and a candidate who will actually help our base solidify and attract independent voters into our party. The Great Opportunity Party is now winning back African-American voters and Hispanic voters because we are working on a foundation based on faith.
What is he talking about?
Our nation
Y'all just got
is facing
clapped.
some deep challenges. It is the loss of faith in this nation that is a part of the erosion that we're seeing every single day. It's restoring faith, restoring our Christian values that will help this nation once again become
like my
the city
friend
on
Mike
the
Johnson?
hill. When Ronald Reagan talked about the city on the hill, he was coming from Matthew 5. When President Lincoln talked about a house divided, that was Mark. Our founding documents speak to the importance of a faith foundation.
Is he not going to hit the third? Is he not going to hit the third man in that trifecta? You know, Reagan, Lincoln, and Trump.
Without a
Three guys that are ideologically tied together.
I would be the president that helps us restore
Did we tweet out the bingo
faith in
card?
God,
Yeah, okay. It's on our
faith in each
Twitter.
other,
It should be in the
and
Discord
faith in
too.
our future. Without that focus, none of the issues, the policies matter. We have to get back to being a nation that is, in fact,
I think that the moderators should just be able to cut them off if it's not fun. This is TV, baby. Come on. We got to keep those ratings
We're
up.
going to turn now to the challenges facing the next commander-in-chief. You'll all be fielding questions first from me and the Republican Jewish Coalition, and then from Kristen and Hugh. So as we continue forward, the Israel-Hamas war is barely a month old. Tonight, Israeli troops are fighting inside Gaza City.
Here we go.
With over
Condemn Hamas,
200
baby. Come on.
hostages who remain captive there, and civilian casualties mount inside Gaza.
They're going to bring up how Israel's killed like a
of the
couple
United States, what would
hostages
you be
that got
urging
accident
Israeli
with the
Prime Minister
bombings.
Benjamin Netanyahu to do at this moment? Governor DeSantis.
I would be telling Bibi, finish the job
Flickmer,
once
that's a
and
good
for
one.
all with
Oh
these
my
butchers,
God.
Hamas. They're terrorists. They're massacring innocent people. They would wipe
Bro.
every Jew off the globe.
Fucking Israel is massacring innocent people. Man, we're gonna get taken down if I don't.
Right
chill.
by his country. That Hamas should release every hostage and they should unconditionally surrender. I'm sick of hearing the media. I'm sick of hearing other people blame Israel
Dog,
just
what
for
media?
defending itself. We will
Yeah,
stand with
us?
Israel in word and in deed,
Halo Media
in
LLC.
public and in private. And I can tell you, as governor, I actually did something about it. Biden's neglect has
What?
been atrocious. We
I
had
went to Tel
Floridians that
Aviv.
were over there after the attack. He left them stranded. They couldn't get flights out. So I scrambled resources in Florida. I sent planes over to
Did he
Israel.
actually?
I brought back over 700 people.
Chad, is this
to
real?
Safety. There could have been
JB,
more
pull that shit up.
had we not acted. And I'll tell you this. I
Did he
met
say
the
he
first
saved
plane
700
load,
people? What?
when they came to Florida, and one of the mothers pointed to a 6-year-old daughter, and she said, my daughter had been saying the last 2 nights, Mommy, I don't want to hear any more bombs, no more rockets. I just want to get back to Florida. So there's a difference between words and deeds. We acted, and we saved lives.
Thank you. Ambassador Hill,
That's
what
the
would you do?
fakest shit I ever heard.
In that he said that Biden did nothing, but in order to get the people on that plane, they needed to go through the humanitarian corridor that like Biden at least helped open.
Yeah.
Finish them. And the reason is I worked on this every day when I was at the United Nations. And we have to remember that they have to, one, eliminate Hamas.
Oh, that's true.
Two,
She has
support
experience
Israel
condemning
with whatever
Israel.
they need, whenever they
On
need
the
it.
world stage.
And three, make sure we bring our hostages home.
Condemning Hamas.
We need to be very clear-eyed to know there would be no Hamas without Iran. There would be no Hezbollah without Iran. There would not be the Houthis without Iran. And there wouldn't be the Iranian militias in Syria and Iraq that are trying to hit our military men and women if it hadn't been for Iran. And who is funding Iran right now? China is buying oil from Iran. Russia is getting drones and missiles from
She's
Iran.
just like-
and there is an unholy alliance.
She wanna-
We need to be clear.
Unholy Alliance?
The last
Episode
thing
10
we
of Head in
need
the
to do
Office.
is to tell Israel what to do. The only thing we should be doing
That's exactly
is
what we
supporting
have to
them and eliminating Hamas. It is not that Israel needs America. America needs Israel. They are the tip of the spear when it comes to this.
It's not
Islamic
that Israel
terrorism,
needs
and
us.
we need to
We
make sure
need
that
Israel.
we have their backs in that
We
process.
need that is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Oh my God.
Mr. Ramaswamy, any daylight between you and the candidates we just heard on this issue on what you would tell the Prime Minister?
Not in terms of what I would tell the Prime Minister, no. In fact, I would go one step further. The founding vision of Israel was based on the idea that they don't want to depend on anybody else's sympathy or direction in defending themselves. So what I would tell Bibi is that Israel has the right and the
that's the
responsibility
only way
to
they
defend itself.
Let him cook?
I would tell him to smoke those terrorists on his southern border. And then I'll tell him as President of the United States, I'll be smoking the terrorists on our southern border.
Okay, we're killing
That's
innocent
his
people.
responsibility.
Sick.
This is our responsibility. That's
It's
how we move
abuelas
forward.
on
But I
both
wanna be
sides,
careful
dog.
to avoid making the mistakes from the neocon establishment of the past. Corrupt politicians in both parties spent trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting wars that sent thousands of our sons and daughters
You
people
can't
my age to
condemn
die in wars
our
that did
invasion and our war on terror in the Middle East and also say that Israel has a right to do the same exact thing.
Their own war on terror.
Just
Yes.
on a smaller
Yes.
scale. You literally cannot do those things.
Same shit, dog.
That's why we're sending $200 billion back to that same country.
It's not even a
The
different
fact of the
font.
matter is the Republican Party is not that much better. You have the likes of Nikki Haley, who stepped down from her time at the UN. Bankrupt or in debt was her family. Then she becomes a military contractor.
He called her broke.
She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multi-millionaire.
Post the
So I
money
think
spread.
that that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it.
Get
That's
him.
the choice we face.
Nikki, you gotta get
Do you
him.
want a leader from a different
Cut back.
generation who's going to put this
Why are
country
they
first?
more behaved
Or
on
do you want
NBC?
Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right,
In
Mr.
which case we've got
Ramaswamy.
two of them on stage.
We got two of them? He said we got two of them?
Yes, Senator, same question to you.
Yes.
You're the president. You're on the phone.
Fucking
you're on the
get
line
him,
with the Prime Minister,
dog.
You tell him what?
Well, number one, I would tell Prime Minister,
Yes.
not only do you have the responsibility and the right.
I didn't think
to
somebody
wipe
was gonna genuinely
Hamas
call out Ron.
off of the
I didn't-
map. We will support you. We will be
Gotta
there with
fucking
you.
drink
We'll
to
stand
that.
shoulder to shoulder. There will be no daylight. But I would change the station a little bit, though, and head back home to America. I would say to President Biden, diplomacy.
Who cares about this guy? We got
only
Bootgate. We
is
got
a
Bootgate on the bingo
weak
card, baby.
strategy.
3-inch heels.
Appeasement leads to
We got
war.
Bootgate.
From President Obama to
Like, how can I listen to Tim Scott after hearing that fucking banger?
That's what I'm
voting
saying.
for Vivek Ramaswamy.
Get this guy off the stage. Get this guy and Chris Christie off the stage.
Come on,
and
bro.
let those three fight it out.
Let the dude who just said the war on terror was bad, but Israel's war on terror is
It's
good. Talk again.
Oh my
He's
god.
3-inch heels. Come on.
plus attacks on military personnel in the Middle East, you have to strike in Iran. If you want to make a difference, you cannot just continue
What is
to
this
have
we gotta get in a
strikes
war?
Syria
What is
warehouses.
this?
You actually have to cut off the head of the snake, and the head of the snake is Iran and not simply their proxies. In order for us to have a powerful response,
Maybe Iran wouldn't be, like, tensions with Iran wouldn't be so high right now if we didn't end the JCPOA. I don't know, the nuclear agreement. Maybe that was helping tensions. Maybe the Abraham Accords actually made things worse when we normalized relations with Israel, all the other Middle Eastern countries, except for and excluded Palestinians from that conversation.
God.
Maybe that's a part of the issue.
that the first thing
I don't know what we got on the bingo card like in totality, but I do know we got Bootgate.
America is here,
And that's the one that mattered.
What it is you need at any time to preserve the state of Israel. Remember that Hamas's main goal is to get rid of Israel, is to get Israel absolutely off the map. Now, there are three things I think I would say to him when he asked for advice. The first,
a fucking 3-point plan. Shut up, idiot.
your obligation
Dumbass.
to protect the territorial integrity of Israel
Secondly, to make sure you protect the security and the safety of your people. Every time something happens to compromise either one of those things, it creates greater unrest.
Damn, it really is just the brown people aren't people.
Second, you must go in and make sure that Hamas can never do this again.
Yeah, I'm going to mute this guy because he's not saying anything good. But Evan put in the chat, Iran may have given these radicals resources, but the conditions in Israel made the radicals in the first place.
Literally.
That's exactly the point. Is that none of their solutions would do anything to change the conditions that motivate Hamas's existence in the first place. Like, somebody else posted this on Twitter, but if you kill my family members, kill my children, first thing I'm doing is making Hamas too. Like, first thing I'm doing is gonna be radicalized, right? Like, none of these solutions, just eliminating Gaza, cracking down even harder on them, is not going to solve the problem of terrorism coming out of the Gaza Strip. It's just not.
Yeah, Seymour, you're so right. How are Christy and Tim Scott ever going to follow Vivek attacking the moderators, calling out the lamestream media?
Question from Matthew Brooks, the CEO of the Republican Jewish Coalition,
yeah.
a partner of the Republican National Committee in this debate. Here it is.
Given attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups on U.S. military bases in Syria and Iraq, attacks that have wounded approximately 24 of our U.S. servicemen, do you support the use of military force by the United States against Iran?
Yo, chill
against
out.
Iran?
Really? Would you please answer that?
Iran's got 200 million people, dog.
5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
Wait, say something about Ron.
Two of you on stage. The second thing I will say is, I wear heels. They're not for a fashion statement. They're for ammunition.
Yes!
What we need to be doing for Iraq and Syria is, first of all, the idea that our men and women could be targeted and that we've allowed almost 100 hits to happen under Biden's watch is unthinkable. We need to understand this is Iran giving the green light, telling them what to do, and we shouldn't be doing the tit for tat like what Joe Biden has done. We need to go and take out their infrastructure that they are using to make those strikes with, so they can never do it again. Iran responds to strength. You punch them one and you punch them hard and they will back off. But what we don't need is Biden falling all over himself.
Yeah, they totally
to get back
backed off when we killed their one of their top guys.
That was
to
Iraq.
get 5 hostages home.
Yeah.
Him telling Netanyahu now that he needs a pause or a ceasefire. We don't need him going and sitting there tiptoeing around Iran because he thinks they're going to do something. You don't.
We killed Qasem Soleimani, an Iraqi general, in Iran.
Oh,
we airstriked him in Iran.
Okay, all right.
That's when the world pays attention, and that's when Iran stops.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis.
That's
if I can continue with you. Just today, the U.S. launched another one of its limited airstrikes against targets in Syria, this time Iranian-linked facility. How far would you go militarily to hold Iran accountable?
Well, first, Matt, thanks for your question, and I appreciate what
questions.
you've done over the last month. I know it's been very difficult for the community, and appreciate you guys rallying together in difficult times. I actually served in Iraq back in the day, and we had Al-Qaeda in Iraq. You had Shia militias that were funded by Iran.
You're right. Qasem Soleimani wasn't an Iranian commander. You were right.
That's what I thought.
So they killed him in Iraq.
Yeah, they totally responded super well to that strength.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad.
Troops in harm's way unless you're willing to defend them with everything you have. Biden has them out there. They're sitting ducks. He's doing glancing blows. That's just inviting more attacks from the Iranians. I would say you harm a hair on the head of an American service member, and you are going to have hell to pay. We are not just going to sit there and let our service members be sitting ducks. That's true whether it's Iran or whether it's any country on the world.
But if Israel is bombing Gaza while Americans sit inside of Gaza, that's actually cool.
Actually really chill. We should just keep our soldiers in that region, though. Like, the solution is to do war on terror, too. Not just get out. What is this? Oh.
Jewish students across the country are threatened and under attack. What do you say to Jewish students on college campuses who feel unsafe given the dramatic rise in anti-Semitism? And what do you say to university presidents and college presidents who have not met the moral clarity moment to forcefully condemn Hamas terrorism?
Literally every college has.
Ramaswamy, would you like to take that one?
I got a fucking email on my work email from the president of the university talking about how hard they condemn Hamas.
Like my alma maters in places like Brooklyn Bridge in New York. It's sad to see, but here's what history teaches us.
It's like student
Anti-Semitism is a symptom of a deeper cancer in a country and a society that is lost.
Who the fuck do they think they are?
several years ago when I wrote my first book, Woke Inc. I was talking about they were chanting death to...
Do we not remember when these motherfuckers were defending Kanye West a year ago?
Yeah.
Kanye, I love Hitler West. What are we talking about?
And worse. So it is wrong, but we have to get to the root cause here. Now, I think it's really important
cause
that we
is
do
y'all.
this through leadership.
We're talking about
not
anti-Semitism.
censorship. Leadership means fill that void with purpose and meaning. Dilute this wokeism and anti-Semitism to irrelevance. These kids, they have no idea what the heck they're even talking about when they're siding with Hamas over Israel. They are fools. But I also want to caution here, if we go the direction of Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, with whom I respectfully disagree on this issue, pro-censorship, telling student groups to disband, mark my words, soon they will say if you question a vaccine and its side effects, you're a bioterrorist. Soon they will say that if you show up at a school board meeting, you're a domestic terrorist. Soon if they say that J6 prisoners should be released, you're an insurrectionist terrorist. So that's where this road ends. We don't quash this with censorship because that creates a worse underbelly. We quell it through leadership by calling it out. These university administrators have lost their way.
Why are the J6 prisoners like actual martyrs that get brought up
that
here?
restores our founding values and that has no place for this kind of anti-Semitic hate. That's where I stand while respecting our Constitution.
Your time is out. Senator Scott,
he had to bring up the Constitution.
How crazy.
Time for all the momentum to go out the window now.
University president in America is a privilege, not a right. Number one. Number two.
They are
every
all
student
coming out.
who've come to our country
they're like,
on a
actually, we
visa
are
to a college
increasing
campus.
relations
Your
with Tel
visa-
Aviv University and other research partners in Israel. That's how hard we condemn Hamas.
Anti-Semitism is a huge problem in the United States and other Western countries, of course, and we have seen an uptick of it since Israel has started bombing Gaza.
Yeah.
But we've also seen an uptick in Islamophobia and hate crimes related to Islamophobia. And the fact that NBC probably won't ask about that is low-key a major, integrity issue in journalism? Like, why are you not asking about that too?
There was a Muslim child that was murdered in a hate crime, 2 weeks ago. Was that in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What the fuck?
I don't know what we're talking about, man.
Students in a library
Yeah,
being
Ramaswamy.
told to hide. On our streets in New York, a Jewish citizen has the right to walk on the streets of America with no fear. They
Not a
have
trans
the
person,
right
though.
to go to college campuses, go to class, and not fear.
I just can't
We will
stand to see
restore
people
that. I
like
started
them at the
working-
GOP primary debate getting on here and talking about anti-Semitism as if they've ever taken a principled stance against it, as if they don't constantly feed into it and benefit from it.
The whole wokeness conspiracy theory narrative is just a form of anti-Semitism, right?
Yeah.
They're basically arguing that there is some cabal of elite leaders that are controlling everything and indoctrinating our children.
I was the first presidential candidate to say, if you are here on a student visa as a foreign national, you're making common cause with Hamas, I'm canceling your visa and I'm sending you home.
Okay, kicking out
questions
Palestinians,
asked.
cool.
Second, I have friends here in Florida who their kids do not feel safe even going to university campus at all outside of the state of Florida. You have Jewish students fleeing for their lives at Cooper Union. Joe Biden should have the Department of Justice on these college campuses and holding the universities accountable for civil rights violations. When you should not have money going to these places. I already acted in Florida. We had a group, Students for Justice of Palestine. They said they are common cause with Hamas. They said, we're not just in solidarity, this is what we are. We deactivated them. We're not going to use state tax dollars to fund jihad. No
Can someone
way.
fact
And
check
what
that?
does
Is that
Biden do?
real?
Not only
Did
is
they
he
say
not
that?
helping the Jewish students who are being persecuted, he is launching an initiative to combat so-called Islamophobia. No, it's the anti-Semitism that's spiraling out of control. That is what we have to confront. And as president, I can tell you this, we are not going to stand for this on college campuses any longer.
All right, Governor, thank you. Let me turn to Governor Christie, and considering what he just said, you led a state with a sizable Muslim population. Last month, as you know, a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy was killed in Illinois by his landlord. His mother was also stabbed more than a dozen times in what has been charged as a hate crime. What do you say to Muslim Americans who are also feeling afraid for their safety right now?
Lester, I'm the only one on the stage who's actually had experience in dealing with this. I was appointed by President Bush
I feel like
to be the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey
genuinely
on September
irresponsible
10th,
to point that
2001.
question at Christie
And when I took
instead
over
of the
that job
people who
after
are
the
getting
September
up there
11th
and being
attacks,
just
I had
vehemently
to deal with a
Islamophobic.
situation in our state that was explosive. We're the most ethnically diverse state in this country.
Is New Jersey
And so first,
actually?
we heard credible reports about Jewish students and synagogues being threatened in our state in the aftermath of 9/11. We made sure that we sent federal agents to those synagogues and we protected them, and the same thing should be being done now. At the very same time, I personally went from mosque to mosque in New Jersey and met with the leaders of those mosques and with the members of the mosques. And I said to them, law enforcement is on your side to protect you, regardless of your religion. If you are going to comply with the law.
Did anti-Semitic hate crimes actually go up after
9/11?
I don't know.
That's
with
maybe.
Muslim Americans all across
I'm gonna need
the
a
state of
fact
New Jersey,
on some of
and we
this.
stopped any hate crimes that were going on either against Jewish Americans in New Jersey or Muslim Americans in New Jersey.
He did ask about the fucking
It takes leadership,
kid.
Lester, to know how to do this. You must work with both sides. Both sides need to know it, but let us never have a false moral equivalence between Hamas and Hezbollah and the Jewish people. The Jewish people stand for right and justice, and Hamas and Hezbollah stand for death.
Governor Christie, thank you.
Apparently, DeSantis's new regulations that regulate textbooks in classrooms banned a couple on the Holocaust, by the way. So that's a fun little tidbit for you all.
You know, you look at the country, and the country is all out of sorts. I think, look at what these kids are dealing with on college campuses. What makes me so angry is not only do you have the kids barricaded in the library, they've said they were going to shoot up the kosher dining hall. You've got kids' dorm rooms who are being set on fire because they have something related to Israel on their doors. No person should ever feel in danger like this. And this is what I would say about
pull that
our
shit up.
college presidents, is if the KKK were doing this, every college president would be up in arms. This is no different. You should treat
think
it
they are up in
exactly the
arms.
same. Anti-Semitism is just as awful as racism, and we've got to make sure they're protected. And for everybody that's protesting on these college campuses in favor of Hamas, let me remind you something. Hamas said death to Israel and death to America. They hate and would kill you too.
Oh no,
And
I'm
the
so
idea
fucking
that they're
scared of
talking about
Hamas who can't
genocide
even
for the
fucking
Jewish
leave
people,
the fence
that's
without
not
getting
the
in trouble.
values of
Oh
America.
no.
That's not us.
They're
We're
gonna
better
come
than
fucking
that.
get me.
We don't need to celebrate terrorists. We don't need to celebrate genocide.
This
We
is-
don't need to
This
celebrate
is the craziest
violence
fucking
towards
thing
anybody.
to let
We
them
need
just
to
go
back
on and on and
soul
on
search in our
about.
country and
Again,
remember what
every
we are about.
university
And we are
president,
about
every
taking
university
care of people,
administrator
not
has got
going and
out there
making
and
them live in
condemned
fear
the
because
like
some
what
other
2 student groups on
terrorist
every college
activity says
campus
they wanna
that
destroy
said
them.
free
Thank
Palestine.
you. Christie.
God damn.
Sir, thank you. This is another question for the entire field, so you will all get a chance to respond. But Senator Scott, I'd like to start with you.
Why?
The United States has given Ukraine financial and military support since the war began more than 600 days ago. President Zelensky told me on Sunday if Russia
Thank you,
isn't stopped
Donovan.
now, quote,
There were
the
no
price will be
rise in
higher for the
anti-Semitic
United
hate
States,
crimes from
and
9/11.
Americans
So what the
will be
fuck was
forced to,
Christie
quote,
talking
send
about?
your sons
But there
and
was certainly a
daughters
rise
to
in
defend
Islamophobic hate crimes.
Exactly.
Senator
Which
Scott,
just
where
makes
do
it
you
duly
stand
disgusting.
on more funding for Ukraine?
I certainly have
Nothing
been very
about doors
supportive
being
of
set on
Ukraine.
fire,
I
I
believe that
figured.
ultimately we should make sure that the President of the United States states what is America's national vital interest in Ukraine.
Oh,
it is
God, he
actually
sucks.
in degrading the Russian military. We've been very effective using
he's
our
stealing Nikki's
resources
flow.
and our weaponry and the incredibly high price of Ukrainian blood to achieve that objective. Every day we get closer to the degradation of the Russian military, and that's good news. But the American people are frustrated that they do not have a president who reminds us and tells us, where's the accountability? Where are those dollars? How are those dollars being spent? We need those answers
He literally
for us
does
to
say
continue
that.
to see the support for Ukraine. And at the same
you
time,
just gotta look.
I would say that a package that's been offered by the president for Ukraine and Israel, that's the wrong approach. We need to focus specifically on providing Israel with the $14 billion that they need so that we show the world that we are 100% undeniably standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel. And then as we turn away from that direct support for Israel, we should go to our southern border and close our southern border with the resources necessary.
They can't help themselves.
Terrorist cells in America. Thousands of people have come from Yemen, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. If we are going to deal with the national security emergency at our border, we have to do it now.
Senator Scott, thank you. But just to be very clear, if you were president, if you were in the Oval Office today, would you sign off on more military funding for Ukraine, or would you discontinue it?
Bottom line is we have to first have the level of accountability that allows the American people to understand where the resources have gone. Number one. Number two, after we have that responsibility taken care of and accountability, then we have an opportunity to look at the overall strategy that helps us degrade the Russian military
That was a
while we use our resources.
Yes
and frankly, keeping our NATO partners safe from the Russian military is absolutely essential, as you understand.
Vivek's about to go in, baby. Come on now.
To support and to defend NATO, our troops on the ground. The fastest way for us to eliminate that possibility is for us to destroy, to the extent possible, the Russian military. By doing so, we actually achieve the objective of keeping our military home.
So, like,
and that's good news.
Yeah, he would give more money to Ukraine. He just doesn't want to say it.
Zelensky's urgent new plea. Where do you stand on more funding?
I'm absolutely unpersuaded. And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it.
We only fund offensive wars.
That's right, baby. That's right.
Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
Israel is, though.
Thought that, yeah, it's the only democracy in the Middle East. Do you know that? And actually, Ukraine is the only not democracy in Europe. So,
unless the U.S. forks over more money, that is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks.
He is Jewish.
Wasn't
that just anti-Semitism?
That you won't hear from the mainstream in either party.
I was not expecting the Ukraine Nazi thing to come up again. I forgot about that whole thing.
No, he called Zelensky a Nazi.
Oh yeah, that's fucking insane.
He is Jewish.
Been part of Ukraine since 2014. That other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts.
Donbass?
And sort of frame this as some kind of battle
Donbass.
between good versus evil.
There,
don't
named it,
buy
dumbass.
it. And
Yeah,
I'd like
fuck
the likes
you.
of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people.
I'm going to need a fact check.
That's time.
At least
not the Christian persecution.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. We asked the questions. Ambassador Haley,
well, she deserves to
what is your take
on
more funding for Ukraine?
I'm sick of this guy.
I am telling you, Putin.
Are Ukrainians not Christian?
That's what I thought.
Someone like that could become president. They would love to see
The fact of the matter is,
And it's like, who is banning Christians then? Like, who? If it's the fucking Nazis that run Ukraine, what if they?
The Nazis who are also Christians, by the way.
all remember
Sorry.
what that thug did when he invaded Ukraine.
Oh,
we all
yeah.
know that 500,000 people have died because
Yeah, I thought so too.
And here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy. No, I don't think we should give them cash.
Did they ban the Russian Orthodox Church?
The ammunition to win. And I'll tell you,
like, that would fucking make sense, though. That's not banning Christians.
But let's also remember this. When you left Afghanistan in shambles and left them with a ton of weapons and money, it's not that we left, it's how we left. When you look at Ukraine, don't think for a second, now everybody wants to move away from Ukraine. They'll want to move away from Israel a year from now. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. After 9/11, we needed a lot of friends. Now is the time to get partnerships. This unholy alliance between Russia, Ukraine, and China is real. There is a reason that Taiwanese want us to support the Ukrainians. It's because they know that China is coming after them next. There is a reason Ukrainians want us to support Israelis, because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins.
Ambassador,
we have to see the combination of the three.
Ambassador, thank you. Governor Christie.
Yeah.
Churches with tied to, that's what I'm seeing too. I'm trying to look it up.
Thank you,
Should
Donovan.
Americans be expected to help fund the war in Ukraine?
My fight or flight
Kristen,
also
let's remember
kicked in
the
when she
last time
dropped
that we turned our
thug.
back on a shooting war in Europe. It bought us just a couple of years. And then 500,000 Americans were killed in Europe to defeat Hitler. This is not a choice.
He's right.
This is the price we pay for being the leaders of the free world. And the fact is, this alliance is not just with Russia and China. Governor Haley knows this. Iran is in the middle of this as well, and so is North Korea.
She's fucking
and they
like,
are all
yeah,
working
everybody.
to support
Fuck
Russia
yeah.
right now. And the reason they're doing it is because dictators work
did I miss
together.
the hand raise?
People who believe in democracy work
Another
together.
one, hell yeah.
We must stand with all of those that are standing up for democracy and freedom in this world. And by the way, let's remind everybody of this. In 1992, this country made a promise to Ukraine. We said, if you return nuclear missiles that were part of the old Soviet Union to Russia, and they invade you, we will protect you. An American promise that's 31 years old is no different than an American promise that's made tonight on this stage. We need to stand by it. And those of us who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Like the war on terror.
And
no, we have to do that again.
That
shit was sick. Made us so much money.
That's actually good. I remember it. That's why I want to do it again.
Just shows the
I was alive for it.
I'd like to respond. Christie, thank you. Governor DeSantis, I'd like you to weigh
He raised his hand.
on this idea. Are you concerned that this could become a wider war if Putin is not stopped now?
Well, any suggestion by Zelensky or anyone else that we're going to eventually have U.S. troops there, I can tell the American people when I'm president that will not happen. We are not going to send your sons and daughters
Address the
to
boots.
Ukraine. I am going to send
Address
troops to
the
our
heels.
southern border. If you look at the threats that we face, terrorists have come in through our southern border. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to have the military, and I'm going to deport the people who've come, particularly under Biden, who've come from the Middle East, come from all these places. Now, Biden wants $105 billion. 60, most of that's Ukraine.
It's a $105 billion package. It's what I talked about on the episode.
And salaries. That is a
it's
totally
also for like
ridiculous
anti-China
use of
shit.
American tax dollars.
So it's like I'm sure he's not against that. You know what I mean?
The media repeat that. When you
This
look
is
at
just
it,
him
what
relying
most
on
of the
people
money
not knowing what's going
is
on.
money to process more illegal aliens into this country.
They just
How
said
is
no.
that solving the problem? That's
They
making
just
the
said
problem
no to
worse.
that.
And what does he do for the Indo-Pacific? A pittance. That is the top threat that we face.
Tens of billions
we need to bring
of
this war
dollars is
to
a
an
pittance.
end. We need the Europeans to step up and do their fair share. And we need to get serious about the top threat that this country.
Biden asked for more than $8 billion for the Department of Homeland Security and billions more for agencies with a role in immigration, according to Axios, as of like 3 weeks ago.
To help that shit
Israel
out.
to what many people are calling the new Cold War with China. And I remind the audience that it's important for our visitors at home to be able to hear you, and especially for the people in Beijing to hear you. Many Republicans believe that the Chinese Communist Party and General Secretary Xi is an existential threat to the United States. The flashpoint is Taiwan.
Whoa, what is he, fucking
For
climate
decades
change?
and
Come on
decades,
now.
The American military, but primarily the United States Navy, has deterred an attack from China to the island state of Taiwan. But Ronald Reagan's Navy of 600 ships is gone. Now, the question to you is, and I'll start with you, Ambassador Haley, because you were in President Trump's cabinet. His goal was a 355-ship Navy. That's what he pushed for. He got to 300. It's now at 291. Is that big enough to deter and, if necessary, defeat an invasion of Taiwan?
China has the largest naval fleet in the world. They have 350 ships. They'll have 400 ships in 2 years. We won't even have 350 ships in 2 decades. China has built up their military. It's not just land, air, and sea. They're doing cyber. They're doing artificial intelligence. They're doing space. America needs to modernize our military. We need to do everything we can. The first thing is you go and you make sure you have the backs of Ukraine. That's why the Taiwanese want us to support Ukraine, because they know that sends the biggest message to China. The second thing is we go to China and we start being tough on them. No more sales of our American soil to China, and let's take back what they've already stolen. Then you go and you to
I missed the Brett Baer moderated debates. They did not respect that man.
Then we will go
they
and
had
end all
no respect for him or the buzzer, and I kind of missed that.
By the way, she had that point about China having more like warships than the United States. Technically, they have more like ships, like numerically have more ships, but the United States has a lot stronger ships.
We got the big ones.
Yeah, and we have the aircraft carriers. China has one aircraft carrier. We have apparently like 20 something. So
God damn.
In Israel, whether it's in Ukraine, and we should be arming Taiwan. Make sure they have the equipment they need. Make sure they have the training they need now. There's nothing China fears more than knowing that America will have Taiwan's back. Let's make sure that we show it by making sure they have the equipment they need.
Governor DeSantis, my
Vivek has a great take about that, where he just said, give a fucking gun to everyone in Taiwan.
Perhaps as low as 280. Is it enough? And what would you build if you were going to build more?
Not enough. We have to have the ability to back up a strategy of denial of President Xi's ambitions. And if China is able to be the world's leading superpower, that will affect you and your family in ways that are going to be very bad. They will export authoritarianism all around the world as the cost of doing business. They will impose things like
domino theory
scores and internet monitoring. So this is, to this
domino theory. You cannot let China fall. If China falls, everywhere else in the region falls.
Guys, I have a novel foreign policy idea. It's called containment. It's never been tried before.
I promise this is way different than what we thought about in Vietnam. This is way different than what we thought about in Vietnam.
We have a strategy not just military, but decoupling from the economy.
11 aircraft
carriers is crazy.
Still more than China.
You know, Ambassador Haley said somehow I wasn't doing. She welcomed them into South Carolina, gave them land near a military base, wrote the Chinese ambassador a love letter saying what a great friend they were. That was like their number one way to do economic development. In Florida,
is she
I
cooking
banned
something?
China from buying land in this state, and we kicked out.
Is she cooking something up there?
Universities, and we kicked the Confucius Institutes out of our universities.
Kicked Chinese people out of Florida.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother.
Swiftly and decisively.
Senator Scott, you've been in the Congress since 2011.
Please go back to
Defense
Haley.
spending has fallen over that entire period of time. Where are we going to get the money, and what would you build, and what kind of ships?
God, this is an hour on
China
war.
from attacking Taiwan?
Yeah.
Well, two major problems with the question. Number one, we do not have currently a defense industrial bank to allow us to have the kind of production that we need in order to keep America safe.
We spend like $900 billion.
No. You guys think it's the military industrial complex. It's actually the military industrial simple, because it's really simple right now, and we need to build that shit up.
Of trying to back our strongest ally in Eastern
It's the Cold War.
We've seen our resources and our weaponry help degrade the Russian military. The Indo-Pacific, we have real challenges. The long-term threat is China. Immediate threat is our southern border. In order for us to have the military,
come on, they cannot help themselves.
3 different continents at the exact same time, we are going to have to invest heavily in our military, but we're also going to have to invest heavily in an industrial base.
I never would have thought about domino theory to get on the bingo card. I'm sorry, guys.
Not only with our ships, but also with our planes. We are so old as a military that in order for us to
really is an energy vampire.
We're going to have to invest. One of the things I do in my Made in America strategy is we create more than 4 million new jobs by having high-tech manufacturing come back to America, decoupling from China, so that we focus our attention
but not
on
electric vehicles, though.
Not
green energy.
For us to achieve the goal of having a military that is ready to be lethal and come home safe.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Ramaswamy, I'm looking for specifics.
Bro, that's the,
what would you build? Where would you build it? When would they be in the water? How big would the fleet get?
Oh, nice.
First answer is end the toxic divest to invest program. For people who don't know about that, we're decommissioning ships in the South China Sea. The foundation of war
I fucking wish Trump was on
Rebuild
there.
Our defense
if Trump was here, he'd get on and he said, I'd build the
Here's
biggest ship, I'd build the biggest ship, and I'd build 2 of them, I'd build many. I'd build super big ships, and China wouldn't be able to do anything. My ships are bigger, can I say?
That we're building. Think
My
about
ships
this.
are bigger and I have more.
Why are we stockpiling that if it isn't to actually be strong against our enemy, China? We depend on them for that, just like we depend on them for pharmaceuticals, just like we depend on them for semiconductors. So here's why we can't get tough with China. It's because we depend on them for our modern way of life, and we have to declare economic independence from our enemy.
Literally,
that's
how?
the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson, at the age of 33, would have signed. And today, if you were
the Declaration of Independence said we are not gonna fucking talk with China. We will not normalize relationships with China. That's what the Declaration of Independence was.
The Bill of Rights would actually be the bill that we send China for all the shit that we've took from them.
What he left out, though, Ron, and be honest about it, there was a lobbying-based exemption.
Be honest about it. I know those boots are. I know there's a heel in those boots.
Within a 20-mile radius of a military base lobbied for by one of your donors. So I think we have to call
Look at that lip plate.
We need politicians who are independent
That's not
of the
true.
forces that increase our dependence on China. My message to Xi Jinping is this. You are done buying land in this country. You will not donate to universities in this country. U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until you play by the same set of rules.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
you're kicked out of the WTO.
Does that just mean
you actually have to have accountability for the COVID-19 pandemic financially?
Shut the fuck up. What is
tell on the world?
bro gonna say?
No more international students? Is that what he means?
Number and a plan.
I think that we need to increase our naval capacity by at least 20% over the course of the next
made that up on
several
the
years.
spot.
He absolutely
I think we
pulled
have
that
to,
out
at
of his
minimum,
ass.
be able to meet our AUKUS agreement standards. Right now, we are at risk of not even being able to meet our AUKUS standards with Australia and the UK.
See,
so what we
this
need
is
to do
where
have
he's a
plan
fucking
that
nerd and just
reverses
loses
the
everyone.
trajectory of the divest to invest program
Hugh, I'd like to
by
respond.
20% over the next 3
Please
years.
let Haley respond.
You know, my first observation, Hugh, is that nobody answers your question. And my second observation is these three in the middle think they're the enemy. I know China is the enemy, and that's what we should be focused on. So let's be really clear.
What does that mean?
The nuclear submarines in this United States
because he's wearing a brown
is the
suit, he's super
greatest
unprofessional.
deterrent
You know, brown is
to
really just
Chinese
another shade of
aggression,
tan.
and that is the first place I would go to increase American naval power. Our nuclear submarines are able to move stealthily, quietly, and effectively. And if we are going to deter China from invading Taiwan, the only way we're going to do it is to make sure that they don't know whether how many nuclear submarines from the United States of America are in the South China Sea and in that area and ready to strike on them if they decide to move on Taiwan. And so we, as our first priority, need to go directly to our nuclear sub program, Hugh, and we need to increase it drastically.
I wasn't
That would
expecting
be
so much
priority number
anti-China
one.
either.
Ships would come next, but to
I'm
me,
counting
the
this
ships
as a
are
buzzer.
secondary
Oh,
choice
God.
here. The submarines are the single most important thing that we could be deterring, that we could be using to deter China. But the other thing we could do to deter China is to let them know that the blood money they're spending for Russia in Ukraine right now will not be effective. That we send Putin home with his tail between his legs and make them understand that the same fate
I feel like they've
waits for
talked
them
more about China
if
than
they
they've talked
decide
about
to move
Israel.
towards Taiwan with a more aggressive nuclear
They've talked more about
sub-program.
other countries
We'll be able
in
to
the
make
United
that
States.
threat real.
Thank you, Governor. We're going to take a brief pause now.
Here we
We'll be
go.
back to
I
the
was waiting.
Republican presidential primary debate. Please stay tuned.
Haley opens with 1 in 6 people can't pay their utilities, but China bad.
Yeah. No free ads for them.
China bad, double the military budget.
Yeah, so
I think Christie's wearing a brown suit.
I don't mind them having like just international foreign policy debates. Like that's obviously a good thing, and with Israel we expect that.
They're putting this on the fucking card, but they're not going to talk about it.
Oh, here we go. They're actually talking about how this is great. This is great.
What the fuck?
Like, yeah, I know we didn't bring this up during the debate, but we can just say Palestinians are dying, right?
Yeah,
like, that's good.
Oh,
enough.
so they just let them talk about how we're doing nothing for the people who attacked us in Syria, and then they play the fucking card that says, "Oh yeah, we actually did do it."
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So they talked a lot about Iran. It's worthy to note that a lot of the reason, or I guess I would say part of the reason tensions are so high with Iran right now is because Trump backed out of the JCPOA, which was a nuclear agreement that ceased the development of Iran's nuclear capabilities and focused on nuclear energy instead. Getting rid of that deal showed Iran that we don't really fucking care about any of the agreements we have with them, and they've probably restarted their nuclear planning, their nuclear attack capability programs, which just makes things worse for the Middle East. And then the Abraham Accords normalized relations with Israel and a bunch of other Middle Eastern countries and cut Palestinians out of the deal, which also inflames tensions even more. But they're not going to say any of that, of course, because they don't really care. And then the whole last 15 minutes was just China bad. So
they gotta hit the second half hard with like Bidenomics shit, right? Because like Bidenomics, that's a winning issue for them. They're focusing so much on foreign policy. So much. And so much on China for like no fucking reason. But I guess it's NBC, so, you know, it looks dark gray. That's crazy. I'm seeing brown. I can't lie. I'm seeing a little bit of brown. Come at me all you want. Send the woke mob after me all you want, but I see brown, and I got to stand by that. That's my truth. Our nuclear submarines also fulfill a hunter-killer position in hunting enemy submarines and capital ships. Thank you. Trump trashed that. Exactly. It's because he's better at negotiating and because he brought peace to the Middle East. And, you know, if he were president right now, he would have solved Ukraine in 24 hours and Israel-Palestine in 20 minutes. That's what would have happened. You got to remember how bad the GOP has been optically the past couple months. If they discuss much else, they don't have many avenues to pursue to avoid being obviously flimsy. Yeah, I just feel like in a primary is where they can talk about that stuff and really not have to worry, because let's be real, the like general voter population that doesn't like do a political podcast or listen to political podcasts, they're not going to remember any of the shit that they say when it comes time to vote. It literally almost a year from today. You know? Biden's name has barely been mentioned. For real. For real. No Bidenomics bars? What the fuck is going on? Unfortunately, Christie's answer made sense. Yeah, maybe that's a Christie as a liberal. Maybe that could be our Christie as a liberal. I'm surprised that they haven't hit more on the culture war throughout the span of the 3 debate series, if I'm being real. No, you're right. Jared Kushner is the one who brought peace to Israel. I'm sorry. Jared Kushner, golden boy. Didn't he get like $1 billion from the Saudis?
$2 billion.
Fuck yeah.
You really have to appreciate the dichotomy between like funding Ukraine bad, but also funding Israel really good.
Super fucking good.
Again, they only fund authoritarians, right? Or they only support authoritarians.
Exactly. No, it doesn't matter that Israel's killed more people than Russia, more civilians than Russia has.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I saw something saying the Russian civilian death toll has been like 9,000 something. Wow. And Israel passed that shit on Monday.
Welcome back to tonight's NBC News
do we have bingo yet?
Presidential debate. Once again, here's Hugh Hewitt.
Thank you, Lester. We're going to stay on China, and we're going to talk specifically
Are you serious?
about TikTok. Last week, Congressman Mike Gallagher, who is chairman of the House Bipartisan Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, published a long essay on TikTok following the flooding of pro-Hamas propaganda.
Bro's got his iPhone out.
Oh, that's he's talking about
Chairman Gallagher called it shocking. He called the app predatory, controlled by America's preeminent adversary.
That's right,
one
baby.
used to push propaganda and divide America. It's spyware, he said, a means of surveillance. Governor Christie,
not Facebook.
Literally. I wish I was on the Chinese fucking payroll to say this shit.
I agree 100% with Chairman Gallagher, and let me say this. TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people all throughout this country, and they're doing it intentionally. And when you saw what happened in the last few weeks,
chill. That's the moneymaker.
With all of this anti-Semitic, horrible stuff that their algorithms were pushing out at a
Bro is coming for our bag right now.
This
and frankly,
is
I can't
China
stand for that.
Trying to further divide the United States of America. And this is one of the big failings among many.
I promise China has not been pushing our videos like that. I can tell you right now. If you look at our analytics, China has not been going in there.
He did not ban them when he could have and should have. And now since then, we've had an additional nearly 6 years of this type of poison being put out throughout the United States, even putting aside the spying, which we know is going on, and the theft of American personal data and information.
Yeah, no other social media algorithm.
In my first week as president.
No, same shit happens on Facebook. Same shit happens on Instagram, which I guess is also owned by Meta.
Yeah.
Same shit happens on Twitter. Like, they only don't like TikTok because China bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a conspiracy theory that they also don't like it because it seems like leftists have been able to spread their message on TikTok pretty well.
Yeah, you got to consider Facebook.
Like we exist because of TikTok.
Yeah,
right?
Like the top 10 videos on Facebook are like Ben Shapiro and Dan Bongino. You know,
it's Ben, Dan Bongino, Tucker Carlson. Yeah.
Sale of TikTok, regardless of whether or not China allowed American apps to operate in China.
Yes, I think that China's the top threat we face. They've been very effective at infiltrating different parts of our society. So my policy on China and the Chinese Communist Party is very simple. We win, they lose.
Oh,
and in order to do that, it's not just military. It's economic,
It's boots.
and it's cultural. And as the dad of a 6'5" and a 3-year-old, I'm concerned about the data that they're getting from our young people.
Then don't
and
let
what
your
they're
kids
doing
go on
to
TikTok.
pollute the minds of our young people. These kids get these devices and they have a mind of their own. And I know a lot of parents are looking, it's hard to even keep it out. China's obviously the most extreme, but this is happening with other things. So we are going to do that, and we are going to make sure to protect the American people. It's a full spectrum approach to be able to fend China off. Yes, military deterrence. Yes, economic decoupling, but also
TikTok
their role
is
in our
the
culture.
American version of the app. Don't they have a different one in China?
We're not going to be able to win the fight.
Thank you, Governor. Ambassador Haley, speak to the parents out there. There are probably TikTok apps on half the phones in this auditorium.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to speak to the fact that 2 people hit me and you didn't let me respond. So let's first talk
Oh
about
my
the fact
fucking
that
God.
they want to talk about the Chinese land from 10 years ago. Yes, I brought a fiberglass company 10 years ago to South Carolina. But Ron, you are the chair of your economic development agency that as of last week said Florida is the ideal place for Chinese businesses. Not only that, you have a company that is manufacturer of Chinese military planes. You have it. They are expanding 2 training sites at 2 of your airports now. One which is 12 miles away from a naval base.
She came with the fucking receipts.
That's expanding, and they were just invaded by the Department of Homeland Security. So mine was 10 years ago.
You gave
Yours
them
was
stuff.
6
I
months
didn't
ago.
give them anything.
What's your story?
And I abolished that agency that she's talking about.
No,
Enterprise Florida, we abolished it, and of course we banned China from buying
the
land.
website
Not
last
exactly
week.
a
Go
great
check.
recruiting pitch if you're banning them from purchasing.
Haley hit that. Go on the Wayback Machine.
Thank you, Ambassador
Yeah,
Haley.
use the Wayback Machine.
Mr. Ramaswamy, we've talked about this. You campaign on TikTok. How do you get TikTok banned if you use it?
Well, I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which is about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my
before
daughter
preaching to
out of
anybody
your
else,
voice.
adult daughter.
Out of your voice.
Your
Oh,
adult,
they're booing him. Your adult daughter who was on TikTok, and you didn't stop
Here's
that.
the truth.
You're just
the easy
scum.
answer
You're
is
just
actually
scum.
to say that we're just going to ban one app. We got to go further. We have
Her daughter is 25.
actually
what'd he say?
transferring U.S. data to the Chinese.
We
Here's
gotta
a
ban
story
all
most
apps,
people don't
actually.
know. Airbnb
No more apps.
hands over U.S. user data.
See, I'm
to
pro
the
getting rid of
CCP.
Airbnb.
Now, that's a U.S.-owned company. So this is the problem when you have Republicans that temporarily go the way the winds blow, and now it's popular to talk tough on China. When she was UN ambassador, called them literally, her words, not mine, our great friend. You can't be fair weather fans of the right policy. Get to the root cause. Even U.S. companies in Silicon Valley are regularly doing it. Cut the virtue signaling. The fact of the matter is Democrats are on TikTok today. The only person, one of the few people who is putting up content the way the actual algorithms work, speaking for pro-Israel views or others, is
Ambassador
me, and I predict
Haley,
more Republicans will join
He's
it.
the only
Stop
politician
US companies
doing
from turning
pro-Israel
over
stuff
data
on
to
TikTok?
Chinese
Are you
companies.
serious?
I think he's trying to say he's the only person doing pro-Israel shit on TikTok.
But you do.
He didn't
Thank
get
you
ready
very
with
much.
him
You know,
War
when he
Edition.
talks about me praising China,
He didn't go bake
doesn't
bread,
know the fact that the
gluten-free bread
reason
for all
China
the
was praised
soldiers.
was because I negotiated with China and Russia the largest set of sanctions against North Korea in a generation. That is literally the reason North Korea stopped testing ballistic missiles. So I said China did good on their part. That was a
You said
negotiation
our
you
great
could
friend
never
is
do.
what you said, Nikki. Those are your words, not mine. And so just own up to it.
You would never
You can
have been
change
able
your
to
mind.
get
That's
that
allowed.
catty.
But don't
It's-
lie to
oh
the
my
people
God.
about
I
what you've
fought
said or what you've done in
against
South
China
Carolina.
my
You have
entire
brought them to South
career
Carolina.
at the
Ron is
United
right about
Nations.
that.
Every day I fought
Why are the
China,
mods
and I
not
did it-
jumping in?
I don't know, but I'm here for it.
No
Brought
one
them to
could
this
get any
country.
agency heads in UN. I did it by making sure that we called them out on human rights. I did it by making sure that we held them accountable on everything that they did. That's the reason we got out of the Human Rights Council. That's
I feel like
the reason we
the
called
biggest
them
issue
out.
here is that
And
nobody
there's
really
not
gives a
one
shit
day
about
I haven't
foreign
given
policy,
them
like to this
It is your
capacity.
turn, Mr.
They really only
Ramaswamy.
care about like the
afterwards.
big like
Everybody
buzz
else is hanging on
topics.
to the rules here, Mr. Ramaswamy. Senator Scott.
Thank you. We should. I appreciate y'all clapping for me already. This is wonderful answer. Love this.
What is he doing?
Question. What we should do is
What is he doing?
ban TikTok, period. Now, we saw under former President Trump, he tried to ban TikTok twice, but was struck down by our federal courts. If you cannot ban TikTok, you should eliminate the Chinese presence on the app. period. We also should provide in my parents' Bill of Rights, we give parents the opportunity to give their kids permission under 14 to be on those apps. I think it's incredibly important for us as Americans to take back control of the information, especially of our kids. Where does it go?
The government controls the flow of information.
We get to know
1984. Hello.
That's what we need.
But if we can eliminate TikTok, that is a first step. But it's not just TikTok.
I just don't understand.
China
Who
continues
fucking gives a shit about this TikTok anymore?
Kids, but they're also buying
literally everyone makes fun of it. It's a part of the fucking pop culture zeitgeist to make fun of Facebook listening to everything you say. Like,
stop China
and nobody really cares.
Farmland near our bases. The third thing we have to do is make sure that they stop stealing our intellectual property. They're literally stealing our IP to compete against us. My administration.
This is something the U.S. has done too, by the way.
Day one, and we start making sure that we create six-figure income for jobs made in America through my strategy.
Kristen.
Hugh, thank you so much.
Please
We're now
move
going to
on.
talk about Venezuela, where millions have fled political and economic turmoil.
This is the
Many Venezuelan immigrants
NBC.
are settling right here in Florida.
Why did Fox
Former President
ask more
Trump and
hard-hitting
President
questions?
Biden have taken different approaches to Nicolas Maduro's
going
regime with
on?
little result. Former President Trump put economic pressure on Venezuela and backed one of Maduro's rivals. President Biden temporarily eased sanctions to encourage electoral reforms. Governor DeSantis, do you see the political situation in Venezuela as a threat to the United States, and what would your approach be?
We should never rely on Venezuela for oil like Biden has had to go beg. I'm going to unleash all of
Venezuela's
America's
a fucking
energy
OPEC
potential
country.
on day one. I'm taking all the Biden regulations, the Green New Deal,
We also
ripping it
rely
up
on
and throwing
Russia
it in the
for
trash
oil.
can where it belongs. We're going to lower your gas prices. We're going to create jobs. We're going to lower energy costs. But we're also going to be more energy independent and secure. We'll choose Midland over Moscow. We'll choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs. And we'll choose Bakken over Beijing.
He dropped this last time, didn't he?
For America's national security.
Hell yeah.
Biden's Green
Well, I mean,
New
he only
Deal,
has a couple
that's
dialogue
good
tree
for
options.
Venezuela, it's good for Russia, it's good for Iran, and it's good for China. So I would
The
turn the
exciting
screws
culture
on the
war
Venezuelan.
bullshit. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to
for
put
Fox
200 more sanctions on Venezuela.
Hell
That's
yeah,
how
brother.
we'll solve the problem.
Fuck
Double
yeah.
the sanctions.
Begging for oil from them.
Just to be clear, would you reimpose the sanctions?
Yes, absolutely.
I want more people to
What would your
come.
approach be?
You know, I stood on the Simon Boulevard Bridge and watched thousands of Venezuelans cross for hours in the hot sun holding their babies to get the one meal they might get that day going from Venezuela to Colombia.
Okay.
They were fleeing socialism and begging for freedom. We need to make sure
So
that we do
because
everything
they were
we
fleeing
can to
socialism,
sanction Maduro.
we're
We
going to
shouldn't
sanction
give
them
dirty
more.
oil, and Biden just gave
Because they're
500,000
fleeing
Venezuelans
destitute
temporary
economic
priority
conditions,
status, which is just
we
gonna
should
have
make those
more of them
economic
come.
conditions
But on the
worse
energy
because
side,
they
it
just
cracks
need
me up
more
that
of a
Ron
nudge
continues
so that they could rise up, right?
It's exactly what it is.
Thank you.
opposed drilling.
I
Last
run the
time
number
we
one
said-
geopolitics podcast.
Yeah, your country sucks. Just overthrow the government.
Yeah, your country sucks. We're going to make it suck more so that you finally have the motivation to overthrow it.
Just overthrow the government.
Duh.
You're free to do it.
Duh.
You weren't a liberal when it comes to the environment. You were. You always have been. Just own it if that's the case. But don't keep saying you're something that you're not.
Let me respond to that.
No.
So our whole energy plan, you can't get the shale without fracking. We are absolutely going to frack, but I disagree with Nikki Haley.
He did ban
I don't think it's
fracking
a
in
good
Florida.
idea to drill in the Florida Everglades, and I know most Floridians agree with me.
You banned fracking.
Fuck yeah.
Very much, Lester.
Liberal.
Let's
Liberal.
turn to one of the biggest issues for voters. That, of course, is the economy. This is a
China.
question that will go to all
We're
of
at the
you.
economy an
Iowa
hour and
voter
10 minutes
recently
in.
told
The
NBC
Chinese
News, how am I
economy.
going to make sure my pantry's stocked without breaking the bank? You've all said the best way to deal with rising
tax
prices
credit, raise
is
the
to
minimum
cut
wage.
government spending. But that would take time to play
But
out.
not
But
to
Americans
Israel,
are
though.
struggling right now. Senator Scott, I'll start with you. What would you do the moment you take office to help Americans manage the cost of living? So we're talking about short term here.
Exactly,
My mother
Dante.
was
If you
a
don't like
single
it,
mother who
leave.
raised
Comes
me
to
and my
America.
brother
We have
in a
criminals at the
very
border.
challenging
Terrorists,
economic
even.
situation. The first thing I can tell you is that when your gas prices are 40% higher right now than they were just a little over 2 years ago, that's not a problem for my mama. That was a crisis. The first thing I would do as President of the United States is I would sign the XL Keystone Pipeline and start seeing resources.
The Keystone Pipeline's back.
Secondly, I would do is make sure that there's certainty and predictability. So
it's making me reminisce on 2 fucking years ago when we first started the pod.
Predictability to go ahead and become energy independent. We should focus not just on being energy independent. We should focus on being energy dominant. America is the home to more energy resources than any other
I would do the Willow Project more.
We can reduce the price of energy. We can reduce the price of food and the price of electricity if we focus on my build here, don't borrow from China plan that is embedded the Made in America strategy, creates 10 million new jobs in 3 different areas. One is innovation. Second is the high-tech manufacturing. And the third is the energy economy. We have an opportunity as Americans
high-tech,
to
but not
green. Export the surplus energy that we create in our nation.
High-tech, but like more oil technology.
And we're still energy independent, by the way, under Biden.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Your time is up, but let me just follow up. The idea of pumping gas, of turning on pipelines, that doesn't make gas cheaper that day. I'm talking about you become president. What can you do specifically to help people feel better about their situation or be better with their situation?
Well, actually, it does, to be honest with you. The way that the economy works is it works on the ability
you turn on the pipeline and more gas comes. Come on, guys. What the fuck, obviously.
The demand. When that happens, confidence drives our prices down because we know there's going to be a greater surplus. When you allow for those who have leases to actually start drilling, to start using those leases for more energy excavation, you put our economy in the strongest position.
They're sitting on so much empty land right now.
Prices start going down. That is the kind of economy that, as President of the United States, I would lead this nation to making sure that we first use the resources in our own country and not going
Jeremy, I didn't think you knew this, but the Keystone XL pipeline, it's called XL because it actually goes to every gas station in the entire country.
It's really big.
It goes into their reserves, and as soon as you turn it on,
we have become an
and all the gas stations get more gas, and the prices go down.
An energy economy, we start allowing this nation to once again return.
Senator, thank you. Let me ask the same question.
He just said nuh-uh.
Can you give us some, you ticked off a number of things a moment ago, but some specific examples of ways that would put people on a better economic footing right away?
So I started off working minimum wage jobs. I did $6 an hour as an electrician's assistant. I worked all kinds of things to be able to get through school. And I did that because I believed in America, if you work hard and get the most out of your God-given ability, you can get ahead. And what's happening now, many of you are working hard and you're falling further and further behind.
Facts.
I've met people in Iowa, New Hampshire, and all across the country who've talked about all the burdens that they're facing with the rising prices. And I've heard from multiple people the same story. When they go grocery shopping, what they now do is they figure out what they have to take out of the cart once it's ringing up, because it rings up so much faster and so much higher at the cash register that they can't afford the full cart of groceries anymore. We have to restore the American dream in this country. What can you do on day one? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all the executive orders, the regulations, everything involving Bidenomics. I'm going to rip it up, and I'm going to throw it in the trash can on day one where it belongs. That is going to give the economy breathing room. And I'm also going to rein in the Federal Reserve. They have helped create, with their reckless monetary policy, what we have faced since the COVID-19 pandemic. They botched it. Congress botched it. Both parties are to blame. Fed should focus on stable prices. They are not an economic central planner for the American people.
Governor, thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, weigh in on this. Sure. Ways that you can improve people's financial condition in the short term.
Right, and as a CEO, the economic question is core to my vision and policy prescription for this country. Increase the supply of everything. It's the law of supplies and demand. Increase the supply of energy. That brings down the cost of energy, grows the economy.
Okay.
Drill, frack,
turning on the
burn
pipeline.
Coal, embrace nuclear.
Got it,
Increase
baby.
the supply of labor in this country. Stop using our taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home instead of to go to work.
Well, that doesn't happen. That didn't happen then, and that doesn't happen now. That hasn't happened for years.
The land use restrictions are constricting the supply of housing. That's making housing more expensive for ordinary Americans across this country.
Or it's
so that's the true
BlackRock buying entire neighborhoods.
The country.
Or it's Robert Kurosawa, Mr. Rich Dad Poor Dad, owning 15,000 homes across the country on his
Prices
own.
are going up.
And maybe that's an issue. I don't know.
To buy your home are going up, but wages have remained flat. That's the hard diagnosis for our economy. And this is about more than just our economy. I say this as a member of my generation. I'm 38 years old. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. The reason my generation has lost our sense of national pride, in part, is because people in my generation feel like the American dream isn't available to them. And part of the reason why is we've burdened them with four-year college degrees that did not serve their head start on the American dream. People will be more proud of a country if we're all making more money in that country. This is how we revive national pride.
Okay, how do we make more money?
It will take a CEO in the White House with zero-based budgeting, by the way.
We already had a CEO in the White House. And he fucking killed that deficit.
Lester, part of the entire premise of the question,
we're never coming back,
is absolutely energy is the key to this, because
and
it drives
also like,
every one of those.
Nobody gives a shit about what Chris Christie says.
No.
He gotta be, wages remained flat. Moving on.
Also, Joe Biden in the Inflation Reduction Act offered all kinds of subsidies for not only like oil and making those processes better, but also like clean energy subsidies for American families to drive down the cost of energy.
Yeah.
Like it was called the Inflation Reduction Act, and Republicans voted against it. And that's what I'm going to guess they're calling out here as a part of Bidenomics.
Even when everybody started freaking out about the whole gas stove debacle, wasn't it also announced that if they were to go through with a ban on gas stoves, it would be coupled with subsidies to pay for the transition?
Yeah, some kind of massive rebate.
Come on. And what about the child tax credit? What about how Republicans literally took $300 out of the hands of fucking American families from every month?
Or about how Republicans haven't refused to vote for a $15 minimum wage. They would not raise the minimum wage beyond what it is right now, like $7.20 or
Bidenomics explicitly tried to get all of those things, and it was Republicans and like 2 Republican Democrats that stood in the way. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Suggestions for ceasefire, but with letting them know we will supply them with everything they need.
Israel
also brings stability to the market. Energy is the key to bringing this down. It's what every American family needs when they turn on their lights, fill up their car, and go to the grocery store. And we need to do that first and foremost. That's the short-term answer.
I would put a power plant in Tel Aviv.
Let me come at this from a slightly different direction. Americans in rural communities are being especially squeezed by inflation right now. An Iowa State University study found that last year inflation cost rural households about an extra $5,000. How would you specifically help rural Americans who are suffering right now, Ambassador?
Well, I'm a product of rural America. I grew up in rural South Carolina. And I can tell you what we're seeing now in America is the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
Real.
We have to go and start
cut taxes
beefing
for
up
the
middle
rich.
class. And the first thing I would do is I will eliminate the federal gas and diesel tax in this country.
Oh, but you did a gas tax
on the middle class. But we have to stop this spending binge that's happening by Republicans and Democrats in Congress.
I can't lie.
I will make sure
Haley, I don't think I don't know, saving like $2 every time I go fill up is really gonna help me out.
Yeah, it's like the don't buy Starbucks thing.
Literally, I don't think that extra 20 fucking, and I get gas a lot. I commute an hour and 20 minutes to work every day. I'm filling up every fucking 2 days, every 2.5 days, and that shit still would not put a significant enough amount of money back in my pocket for me to be able to afford to buy snacks at work. What are we talking about?
It's also notable
here?
when they talk about inflation, one, that a lot of it is driven just by corporate greed, right? Corporations charging more than they need to offset for increased costs of production, but also at the same time, when the United States was seen as its strongest economically was when the tax rate was 90% and we were spending a ton on the economy.
What's happening with the financial situation? It would be a false number to give you that. We have got to understand this is a crisis. It is a national security concern. If we don't deal with what's going to happen with that interest expense in a few years, we're going to look like Japan, and we can't let that happen. The strong dollar matters.
Ambassador, thank you very much. Kristen.
The yen do be in the shitter right now.
Americans could see their Social Security benefits drastically cut in the next decade because the program is running out of money. Former President Trump has said, quote, under no circumstances should Republicans cut entitlements. Governor Christie, first to you. You have proposed raising the retirement age for younger Americans. What would that age be specifically, and would you consider making any other reforms to Social Security?
Sure, and we have to deal with this problem. Now, look, if we raise the retirement age a few years for folks that are in their 30s,
increase taxes.
A few years?
I have a son who's in the audience tonight. He's 30 years
67.
old. If he can't adjust to a few-year increase in Social Security retirement age over the next 40 years, I got bigger problems with him than his Social Security payments. And
make people work longer.
We need to be realistic about
few
this.
years puts us at 70 to
This
retire.
is a cut, by the way. This is a cut.
And also, the average American lifespan is like 72 years old. The retirement age right now for like us, me and Jeremy, and probably you all in the chat, is 67. It's not 65 for us anymore. A few years conservatively, I'm going to be dead.
Yeah.
Buffett is collecting Social Security. But if he is, shame on you. You shouldn't be taking the money. There are a lot of programs in this country that we all pay for that we don't get a direct benefit from. Food stamps is one of them.
Because
also, don't you only have to pay your Social Security tax up to like $150,000? Everything after that isn't taxed for Social Security.
Some shit like that.
It's some shit like that. Yeah.
Availability to that program, but I don't get a direct benefit. The fact is, on Social Security, remember why it was established. It was established as a safety net program to make sure that no one would grow old in this country in poverty. That's what we got to get back to. Rich people should not be collecting Social Security.
Governor, can you give me a specific age? 69, 70? What would the age be?
No, look, that's going to be a part of a negotiation with Congress, Kirsten, and hell, I'm not going to start negotiating until I get there.
All right, Ambassador Haley.
That's crazy. I don't think he'll ever be negotiating.
Because you said in June
so
that you would
he's never negotiating.
The retirement age. Have you determined what that age would be specifically, and what other reforms are you looking at?
So first of all, any candidate that tells you that they're not going to take on entitlements is not being serious. Social Security will go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare will go bankrupt in 8.
Is that
right
true?
now you have Ron and Trump joining Biden
so.
and Pelosi saying they're not going to change or do any sort of entitlement reform. What we need to do is keep our promises. Those that have been promised should keep it. But for like my kids in their 20s, you go and you say we're going to change the rules. You change the retirement age for them. Instead of cost of living increases, we should go to increases based on inflation. We should limit benefits on the wealthy. Bernie Marcus can tell you he hates getting that check. Limit the benefits on the wealthy, and then expand Medicare Advantage plans. Seniors love that, and let's make sure we do that so that they can have more competition.
Taxes
that's how we'll deal with entitlement reform
on the rich,
and that's how we'll start to pay down this debt.
And can you give me a specific age? Have you determined
I could even get behind making like an income cutoff where you can't collect Social Security. If you make more than like, I don't know, $150,000 a year, you don't need that shit. I think that that's perfectly fine. I don't think it's popular, but I think that would be fine.
If you would
or you could just tax the motherfuckers that are getting it that don't need it.
So this is
just
really
tax them more than what they're getting.
We're working within the last window I believe we will have to actually fix this problem while still leaving Social Security and Medicare benefits for current seniors intact. I'll tell you how. The other candidates assume, like Nikki, that it can't be done. And on her math, she's right about it. But her math assumes $7 trillion of our $33 trillion national debt going to fight wars like in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Minus that, our national debt would be $26 trillion right now. Then you go to zero-based budgeting, which I've proposed as a CEO. It's how I've run businesses. It's how many CEOs run businesses. Don't use last year's budget as the baseline.
I don't think you can
zero as the baseline.
Zero-based budgeting as a fucking country.
75% headcount reduction. Yes, that is severe. In the number of federal employees in the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. Shut down redundant agencies that should not exist. Deliver economic growth.
All of this to avoid raising taxes on the rich.
GDP growth if we really take the regulatory shackles off of our economy. And against that backdrop, I believe this is our last best window to be able to take care of our national debt problem through those severe measures, including sacrificing the foreign wars that many bloodthirsty members of both parties have a hunger for.
But not Israel.
That's the one secret for how we're going to be able to do this,
one.
and that requires discipline. So we can't have the first conversation we were having, sending foreign aid willy-nilly to countries whose national debt per capita is less than ours.
Thank you,
But if we
Mr.
do this
Ramaswamy.
correctly, I think this is our last
Except
window, and it'll
Israel,
take a CEO from the next generation to do it.
Thank you very much. Senator Scott, weigh in here. What are you looking at to keep Social Security sustainable?
The bottom line is a simple one. We have to grow our economy and
Cutting
cut our spending.
75% of
Let
federal
me just say
employees
to my
is
mama
fucking insane.
and to every other mama or grandfather
How do you run the
receiving
post
Social
office?
Security, as President of the United
IRS.
States, I will protect
Yeah, they already
your
want to get rid of
Social
that, though.
Security. The fact is that we're spending today about $1.1
Oh, yeah, that was
trillion on Social
100%
Security,
Reagan's
about
whole flow.
$750 billion on Medicare, about $300 billion on Medicaid, about $400 billion on veterans benefits, $1.7
Those
trillion
are all
on
bad
annual
things.
appropriations. If we're going to actually tame this tiger, the way you do it is not by picking on seniors who have paid into a program that deserve their money coming back out to them. The way you deal with it is, number one, you
cut
have
it
to grow
off
your
for
economy.
young people.
My plan, Made in America, creates 10 million new jobs, grows our economy at 5%. By doing so, you add trillions of dollars of economic activity and billions of dollars to your treasury. Number two, you have to cut taxes. When we cut taxes in 2017, I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Everybody said,
that shit was a
guess what?
disaster.
Revenue will go down. Well, in 2018, after we wrote it in 2017, what happened? Revenue went up by 3%, and the next year it went up by another 3%. So what we know is that the Laffer curve still works.
If it is true,
The lower the
it's
tax, the
literally
higher the
not
revenue.
because of
And
the Tax
finally,
Cuts and
if
Jobs
we're
Act.
going to deal
Because
with it,
the
we have
Tax
to
Cuts
take
and
our
Jobs
annual
Act, in
appropriations
principle,
back to
took revenue down.
pre-2020
Without the Tax Cuts and Jobs
levels of
Act, I
spending,
guess
which will
revenue
save
would
us
have gone
about
up
a half
even
a trillion
fucking
dollars
higher.
in the next budget window. By doing
Senator,
that, we deal with
thank
Social
you.
Security and our mandatory spending.
Thank you, Senator. Very quickly, would you raise the retirement age? Would you be open to raising the retirement age, or do you rule that out?
All you have to do is go to a farm in Iowa and watch the hard work and the dedication.
Yes or
you and
no,
I
though,
having
Senator?
a conversation.
Yes or
the
no,
answer
though?
is no, but listen to this though, before you go on. Thank you.
So
The fact of the matter is that
unserious.
the more
Jesus Christ.
physical your labor, a year or two or three more is actually challenging to the physical body. You and I might have a different perspective, but for those farmers, they're working night and day.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate
Wasn't
it.
it like
Governor
this
DeSantis,
year
finally
where
to
the
you, would you be open
tax
to
cuts for the
raising
middle class went
retirement age,
away?
and how would you keep
I think
Social
so.
Security
Something like that.
sustainable?
From the
Well, look,
Tax
as
Cuts and
Governor of
Jobs
Florida,
Act, but never for
I
the
know
rich
a few
people.
people on Social Security, and I know it's important.
Real quick, the government revenue did go up from 17 to 18 to 19, and then it jumped up even more when Biden came into office. So
Nice.
something to keep in mind.
I understand what you're going through with the rising prices, and you need that Social Security check. So we'll make sure to get that done. What can you do to help shore up Social Security? One of the things that's causing problems is the inflation. We have to reduce inflation. When you have higher inflation,
Bro,
the
call it
seniors get a
Biden
cost of
inflation.
living adjustment, which
I got a
means the
bingo card
program's
to get
spending
through.
more, but it doesn't cover the increase in the actual inflation rate. We also do need to get to at least 3% growth. You're never going to be able to have issues, be able to solve the budget without that. But I would note this.
That really is for the
Congress for
Iowa caucus,
decades
folks.
took money from Social Security. Social Security would have more tax revenue that it put out. They would take it and then they'd write an IOU to Social Security. Congress has a lot of dirty hands on this. I'm going to
Rick Scott
force
proposed
Congress
cutting
to stop
Social
spending so
Security
much
and
money.
Medicaid.
And you know, one thing we have to do, we talk about the retirement age, is just something that's changed in the last 4 or 5 years. Life expectancy in the United States is declining.
So, Governor,
in this
yes
country.
or no? Would you raise it? Would you raise the
fuck out of that
retirement age?
retirement
When
age,
life
then.
expectancy is declining, I don't see how you could raise it the other direction. So it's one thing to peg it on life expectancy, but we have had a significant decline in life expectancy in this country.
So
Maybe
you
because
want that
people
out.
can't access health care.
All right, Governor DeSantis,
Maybe.
thank you. Thank you,
Oh,
candidates.
so
and
then
we will
we
be
could
right
do more
back
healthcare, so then we
after
could
a
raise the
quick
retirement
break
age.
from Miami,
Right?
Florida.
Oh, they're going to break again.
Maybe we'll be able to shy away completely from foreign policy and the third and final act.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I guess I'm glad they went to economic issues this time. They said a lot of things, but a lot of what they said when they're talking about inflation and Social Security are kind of like nothing. I do love the admission from Nikki Haley and Chris Christie that they're just like, yeah, we're going to fucking cut the program.
I said, yeah, that's just running out of money, and that's okay.
The idea is that if you raise the age, you spend less money because there's less time that they're collecting from Social Security benefits, which is just a cut in the program. But from what I've seen, you could Social Security may be insolvent in like 10 years or something like that, but if you lowered benefits to like 80% what they were promised, then you could last for like quite a long time. That's not what you should do, but it's possible. The solution is simple, right? Raise taxes on the rich to pay for it. Raise taxes on large corporations, or just collect the taxes we're supposed to get by putting more funding behind the IRS, an organization none of them are in support of.
So much more revenue would come in if we just gave the IRS just more money.
Yeah. The one department, the one agency that makes money.
Only one where you put in X dollars and you get more than X back in return. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This has been a yap fest.
And you don't even have to aim it at poor people. You don't have to do the fucking corny Cash App thing that they were talking about last year. You could aim that shit at Trump and his $70 million tax return. Aim it at all the rich people and all their shell corporations and all their tax dodging. Get rid of tax havens like fucking Delaware.
Yeah.
Golly.
And on top of all that, you have to keep in mind that Republicans voted to get rid of the child tax credit. Republicans voted against the $15 minimum wage. They voted against Joe Biden's plan that passed that allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices. They voted against all these things that would lower and have lowered prices for American families. Yet they're going to come on here and do this right-wing populism bit where they act like they're for the working class when all of their policies are just cut taxes for the rich, which is the reason we're in this place to begin with. Is because we've let the rich run free doing whatever they want, strip mining our country, moving their businesses overseas after making all of their wealth here. If you want to do anything to combat where working families are right now, you would rein in the rich and give the money back to the working class that made that money to begin with.
They have done everything in their power to make it more expensive for you and me.
Yeah.
What was their rationale for getting rid of the child tax credit? That it was just
probably that it was just too expensive.
Too much.
Right?
Jesus fucking
It cut
Christ,
child poverty by what, 40% overnight?
Yeah. And as soon as it went away, child poverty spiked.
$300 a month is
a lot.
It is a huge amount of money for people with children. I mean, that's like, it's a life-changing amount of money.
It's like groceries.
And Republicans took that away. It's just, I don't know. I get frustrated when I see Republicans just like bar after bar, just like go in on this idea that they are for working families and then in the same breath advocate for cutting taxes and prioritizing corporations without actually saying like, yeah, I'm just doing this for the rich. It's so clear what they're trying to do, and none of it is in the favor of the working class. It never has been.
And don't get me wrong, the only reason DeSantis had like a neutral take on Social Security and the retirement age and the life expectancy thing is because he's governor of Florida. It's the only reason.
They're all there.
All the old people are there. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida gets the most Social Security payments in per capita.
Half of Social Security recipients are in Florida. Half of them are probably in Florida.
It's like half their marketing.
Yeah. Oh my God. So annoying.
It wasn't even 1/3 of this China bad. It was like half the fucking thing.
Half the debate's been China bad, Israel good. So
an insane focus on foreign policy, something most people don't care about.
Yeah. Important for the Israel stuff, but
Tonight's NBC News Republican presidential debate. Once again, here's Salem Radio's Hugh Hewitt.
Thank you, Lester. When NBC News talks to voters, when I talk to voters every day, they all say that the border is a top issue. It can mean a lot of different things. It can mean 2 million people who crossed illegally last year. It can mean more than 150 arrests of people on the terror watch list. It can mean the burden on states from having migrants move into their states from the southwestern border.
Holy shit.
But I want to talk about
white replacement
specifically.
Who said earlier more people on the terrorist watch list has been arrested coming in from the northern border than the southern border?
Yeah.
Young people
That's important
sometimes
to know.
die taking one pill. What can you do as commander-in-chief on the first day to stop fentanyl and the waterfall of it into this country?
Well, number one, we should close our southern border for $10 billion. We could close our southern border for an additional $5 billion. We could use the currently available military technology to surveil our southern border to stop fentanyl.
You ever heard of the fence that they have around Gaza?
Led on legislation that is would sanction the Mexican cartels. If you remember the path, the precursors come from China. Then they are manufactured in Mexican labs, and then the Mexican cartels bring them across our border.
What is it, Merrick Garland?
And then American citizens bring them in through regular ports of entry.
Half of all of it comes in from American citizens, and Merrick Garland is already going after Chinese companies and middlemen. They announced this shit like 3 months ago, and we talked about it.
Yeah.
Stop lying.
70,000 deaths in the last 12 months because of fentanyl, it also allows us to deal with the human trafficking travesty that is entering in our country in the same path. If we are going to deal effectively with 100,000 overdose deaths in our country and the 70,000 that is directly linked to fentanyl, we have to deal with our ports of entry.
What does closing the southern border look like? What does that fucking mean?
If we do that effectively, we have started reducing the challenge
Haven't
from the
we been
outside,
trying?
and then we have to deal with the challenge on the inside, which seems to be connected to a mental health crisis that is spreading throughout our nation.
Oh, Rebecca, you closed the Rio Grande by putting fucking balls with buzz saws on them.
But
that's
you
how
turn
you close
them
a
on.
river. Yeah.
This time you actually turn them on and keep them going.
You fucking maim immigrants in the water. That's how you do that.
A real story.
Taking on cartels. Can it really be done quickly? What would you do as president?
It can be done quickly in two ways.
Don't strike Mexico.
Fentanyl.
Oh, Nikki Haley's going to hit her boots on the ground.
Is exactly as you suggest at ports of entry. We have to beef up what our law enforcement has in terms of technology. I would invest in that as president. We need to make sure that law enforcement has every tool at its disposal to do it. Secondly, on day one, I would sign an executive order that would send the National Guard to partner with Customs and Border Patrol, both at ports of entry and at the open ports of our border. Customs and Border Patrol agents are overwhelmed. There's 200,000 encounters a month over the last 11 months. We simply do not have the man and woman power at the border to be able to deal with it. And so dealing with both law enforcement, and you're right, we have done this, we can do this, but we got to give them the tools to do it, and technology is one of the biggest tools that we don't have enough of at the ports of entry. Now, we also need to lower demand, Hugh, in this country. And the way to lower demand is to start treating
from
people
India
again.
as well.
You know, we started to do this before COVID.
Yeah, you
haven't done
this is
enough
going to be a
of it.
liberal take.
And for every family out there tonight who has lost a loved one to fentanyl or to any other type of opioid overdose, what you know is all you want is a chance for them to win their lives back. When I'm president of the United States, we're going to call this what it is.
At the camera.
It is a disease.
But addiction
is a choice.
Heart disease,
Addiction's a choice.
diabetes, or any other
Not
disease
really, of
like
course.
cancer that can be treated, should be treated. We not only have to stop supply, but we have to lower demand and save lives.
Governor. Governor DeSantis.
How?
You have talked.
Fix people's material conditions that would drive them to use drugs like that in the first place.
No, that's where they manufacture the chemicals that come from China. How often? How many? What does that look like?
I thought he was about to hit a Hamas.
Well, first, I was speaking to a dad who lost a son to fentanyl overdose.
No, he
His son
wasn't.
wasn't a drug addict. He had taken some pill that happened to be laced with fentanyl, and it was a fatal overdose. And when he told me, obviously the pain of losing a child is as bad as it gets, but he said what was salt in the wounds is that these elites in D.C. don't give a damn about what's going on in this country. They don't care that we have tens of thousands of opioid deaths, that the fentanyl's pouring in. They are not taking the type of action that we need to. We're
Except they
declaring
literally
a
are.
national
They literally
emergency.
do it. They're
I'm
literally
sending
bringing
US
charges to
military
people
the
responsible
border. I'm
for
gonna
these
stop the
things.
invasion cold. I am going to deport people who came illegally. And I'm even going to build the border wall and have Mexico pay for it like Donald Trump promised. How are you going to do it? Yeah, Mexico's not going to fork over money. We're going to impose fees on the remittances that foreign workers send to foreign countries. We'll raise billions of dollars. I'll build a wall. But we are going to designate the cartels to be foreign terrorist organizations or something.
Is that the
similar
money
to
that they just
And
send
we're
back to their
authorize the
families
use of
back home?
deadly force.
He's
We're
gonna
gonna
take
have
it.
maritime
He's going to
operations to
tax the
interdict
money that
precursor
people who
chemicals
come
going to
here to
Mexico.
work so that
But
they
I'll
can
tell you
make more
this,
money sent
if
back to
someone
their
in the drug
family back home.
cartels
Is that what a
sneaking fentanyl
remittance
across
is?
the border when I'm president, that's going to be the last thing they do.
He said, I'm going to seize the money they try to send to their families back home. I didn't catch that because I didn't know what a remittance was. But a remittance, usually understood as the money or goods an immigrant sends back to their families. That's so sick.
Without prior
I'm glad you
notice
caught
to the
that.
Mexican allies to our south. What would
I'm
your
gonna
colleagues
steal
at the
their
United
money.
Nations think about that?
I don't
The
care what my
$100
colleagues at
they
the
make.
United Nations think. What I'll tell you is, first of all, you have to go to the source. We have lost more Americans in the Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq wars combined.
Oh.
We lost 75,000 Americans last year.
More
Go
Americans,
to the
but not more than
source.
the people
It
we
is the
killed.
reason why
Yeah,
we'll continue
yeah.
to say
Very
we will
important
end
to know.
all normal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans. You watch how quick that flow stops. The second thing is we'll send special operations in to take out the cartels.
Invade.
We need to
Boots
go
on
to
the ground,
where they're
baby.
distributing it, where the supply centers are, and take them out. We'll put 25 25,000 more Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. We will defund sanctuary cities. We will go back to the Remain in Mexico policy so that everybody stays in Mexico and they never get here in the first place.
I'm pretty sure we're low-key still on that shit.
We'll go to catch and release.
I'm pretty sure we're low-key still on the stay in Mexico thing.
That is the way we'll deal with the border.
Oh,
Those are the things that we have to do going forward. But I do agree with Chris. One of the first things that we have to do is really focus on mental health and addiction centers. It is something that is
Nikki is a liberal?
Nikki Haley's a liberal.
Because we don't deal with mental health. And someone who doesn't get care for mental
communist
health falls
re-education
into addiction,
camps?
and we owe it to them to treat it like the cancer that it is.
Mr. Ramaswamy, special forces in Mexico.
Republicans having okay takes on addiction? What timeline are we living in?
Talking about this issue is
just the two liberals.
Like
just the two liberals.
Many parents across this country who have lost their kids to laced pharmaceuticals that have fentanyl in them. The only thing I would ask, Ron, I think you'd be on the same page with me on this. Let's not even call that an overdose.
Right.
That is not an overdose. That is poisoning. If you put that fentanyl in a Big Mac, we would not call that an overdose. You'd call it what it is. It's closer to bioterrorism. And I say that because as it uniquely relates to this crisis,
I usually think of like the libs as the people who are like, let's use the right word.
Yeah.
You know?
So there's a new presidential election in Mexico in 2024. People may not be aware of that.
But this is only to stoke the flames of a foreign adversary, so I think it's very much in line with what they do.
Somebody who would do this shouldn't get anywhere near the White House. Well, AMLO, get out of the way. There's going to be someone else in charge. I hope to build a good relationship with that next president of Mexico. We'll use our own military to seal our own southern border. What we need to do is stop using our military to protect somebody else's border halfway around the world.
Except for Israel.
Short right here at home. Get serious about protecting this border. And then the other thing that
I do
been discussed
Hamas.
is the northern border. I'm the only candidate on the stage, as far as I'm aware, who has actually visited the northern border. There was enough fentanyl that was captured just on the northern border last year to kill 3 million Americans. So we got to just skate to where the puck is going, not just where the puck is. Don't just build the wall, build both walls. Can't just complete the wall, use the military to seal the Swiss cheese for the tunnels that they're actually building underneath that wall.
Those aren't real.
The fucking Fed trucks coming through underground.
Bro said we need to do what Paradis did. We're going to be the island devils. Walls on all sides. Get the colossal titans out there.
Fucking put Shigan Sheena in here.
Earlier wins in states like Kansas and Kentucky. Governor DeSantis, first to you, how do you see the path forward for Republicans on this issue?
Well, I stand for a culture of life, and I understand that it's important that everyone gets a shot. I'm reminded of a story about a young mother who was struggling in Jamaica about 40 years ago, 45 years ago.
Anecdote.
She was counseled to not have a baby because she was poor, baby wouldn't have opportunity, and she came close to have an abortion, but she decided to have the baby born poor in Jamaica. And the reason I know that story is because that baby girl ended up emigrating to the state of Florida, becoming a lawyer and a judge, and I appointed her to the Florida Supreme Court in August of 2022.
I can tell you there's also probably hella other people in Florida who have the same fucking story, because that's a common story, because that is a reason people get abortions sometimes.
What if Hitler was aborted?
Texas is not going to do it the same as New Hampshire. Iowa's not necessarily going to do it the same as Virginia. So you got to work from the bottom up. You got to do a better job on these referenda. I think of all the stuff that's happened to the pro-life cause, they have been caught flat-footed on these referenda, and they have been losing.
Not for lack of trying,
a lot of the people
they tried so hard in Ohio.
Are Republicans.
They're spending millions.
Oh shit! He just said a lot of people voting are Republicans.
So you got to understand how to do that. But let's just be clear.
It's because you're unpopular.
The Democrats have taken a position. They will not identify the point at which there should be any protection all the way up until birth. That is wrong.
Yes,
and we cannot stand for that.
They actually do identify the point.
Biden said second trimester or third trimester cut off.
Consistently blamed the abortion issue and how Republican candidates have talked about it for their electoral losses. How do you see the path forward?
You know, I've said it before. I think you have to be honest with the American people. This is a personal issue for every woman and every man.
Okay.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband Michael was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children. So I'm surrounded by
Why does that mean you're pro-life?
Having said that, when you look
Adoption has nothing to do with abortion.
Right. They took it out of the hands of unelected justices and they put it in the hands of the people. And now we're seeing states vote.
Real?
And what I'll tell you is, as much as I'm pro-life, I don't judge anyone for being pro-choice, and I don't want them to judge me for being pro-life.
Too bad. It's a
so
bad
when we're
take.
looking at this, there's some states that are going more on the pro-life side.
I think it's a bad take for the Republican primary, but I think obviously it's a bad take overall because I don't fuck with that. But I think it's a good take considering her position as the front runner for second place.
It's a moderate.
I think a lot of moderates would fuck with that. I think a lot of moderate liberals would really like her after that one.
Senate votes in over 100 years. We might have 45 pro-life senators. So no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president can ban these state laws. So let's find consensus. Let's agree on how we can ban late-term abortions. Let's make sure we encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions. Let's make sure we make contraception accessible. Let's make sure that none of these state laws put a woman in jail or give her the
Republicans
death penalty
don't
for
vote
getting
for
an
that
abortion.
shit.
Yeah.
Let's focus on how to save as many babies as we can.
That's crazy because you say this, but your colleagues will rip that right away as soon as you got off.
She wouldn't sign it into law.
Yeah,
she wouldn't sign it into law.
Thank you, Ambassador. Senator Scott.
And banning late-term abortion does just kill people still. Like,
it does, but banning late-term abortion is still a popular position, though.
I don't care.
It's not right, but it's popular. Like I understand why she's saying it electorally.
Consensus issue.
Well, I'm 100% pro-life. I have had 100% pro-life voting record. I would certainly, as president of the United States, have a 15-week national limit. I would not allow states like California, Illinois, or New York to have abortion up until the day of birth. I certainly wouldn't not allow.
Some would even say post-birth. Some would even say up to a year post-birth.
Talked about infanticide. We need a 15-week federal limit. 3 out of 4 Americans agree with a 15-week limit. 47 out of 50 countries in Europe agree with a 15-week limit. I would challenge both Nikki and Ron to join me at a 15-week limit. It is in our nation's best interest.
That's the best move politically for them.
I think it's
unethical
to
say 15
and
weeks.
To allow
it's the best
for
choice
abortions
for them, I think.
up until the day of birth. We have an opportunity in this nation to stop that reckless behavior.
I think Nikki had the best answer as a literal fucking centrist fed sitter, but considering his position in the Republican Party, yeah, I think that's a good way to try and recover.
Emma just put it this way in the chat. Describes pro-choice, but I'm pro-life though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's kind of like she said, I don't judge anyone.
She's trying to play both sides.
Yeah.
The expectant mother that we stand with you. We should not only be pro-life before the child is born, we should be pro-life after the child is born just as much.
Senator Scott, thank you. Ambassador Haley, your name
But I voted to repeal the child tax credit.
He did. He's a senator.
Because that's what would save more babies and support more moms. But you have to be honest with the American people, and I appreciate that Tim keeps calling me out for this. But Tim, there was a bill last year. Lindsey Graham sponsored it. You didn't even co-sponsor the bill. And then when you first were interviewed on this, when you ran, you wouldn't even say you were for 15 weeks. What I'm saying to the American people is, let's see what we can agree on. Let's bring people together and decide what we can agree on. I will sign anything where we can get 60 Senate votes, but don't make the American people think that you're going to push something on them when we don't even have the votes in the Senate. It's important that we're honest about that.
Let me go to Mr. Ramaswamy. Would you support a 15-week federal ban?
He just wants to fucking kill anyone who wants an abortion.
I think Nikki Haley did invoke being honest. And I just want to give credit to Tim Scott. He's honest about where he's stood.
If all abortion is banned, I want the
you should
to
be
sue the
honest, not
government for
making a political calculus, but to say, if a bill is served up, would you sign it? Here's my view on this. Speaking as a man, they say men have trouble speaking on this issue. I don't think we need to be that way.
I don't think anyone says men have trouble speaking about women's issues.
That passed a constitutional amendment that now effectively codifies a right to abortion all the way up to the time of birth without parental consent. Why? It's back to that Republican culture of losing. The Republicans did not have an alternative amendment or vision on the table. I know Ohio. I was born, raised, and I lived there. It's representative of the country. If in the state of Ohio we talked about access to contraception, adoption, and also here's the missing ingredient in this movement, sexual responsibility for men. We live in an era of reliable genetic paternity tests that are 100% reliable. So we can say men deserve more responsibility. So we can tell women we're
he just
all
lost.
in this together.
He just fucking
It's not
lost.
men's rights versus women's rights. It's about human rights. And I come back to that case that Clarence Thomas spoke of. A pregnant woman walking down the street. She's assaulted. The unborn child dies in that assault. You find me one person in this country who says that that criminal does not deserve liability for that death. You won't find one. That says we share the same instincts on this issue.
I don't think the law says that either.
Hang up. Vivek just lied about issue 1 in Ohio. There's a stipulation in the ballot measure that says it allows the state to restrict abortion after fetal viability, except when necessary to protect a pregnant patient's life or health. So fetal viability is the cutoff.
For 50 years,
if the state decides so.
Conservative lawyers have been arguing that the federal government should have absolutely nothing to do with this issue constitutionally because it's nowhere in the Constitution. And then Dobbs comes and we finally gain that victory, which was the creation of a constitutional right out of thin air that didn't exist. And now we have
right to
people running
privacy
to say,
doesn't exist.
let's short circuit the states from doing what they need to do, and let's go right to some type of federal ban at a certain number of weeks. And people on the stage
Vivek coming through with the all men should get vasectomies take.
6. Look, the founders were really smart. And this is an issue that should be decided in each state. And I trust the people of this country, state by state, to make the call for themselves. Now, it's going to lead to a lot of divergence. In Oklahoma, you can't get an abortion unless the life of the mother is at risk. In my home state of New Jersey, it goes up to 9 months that you get an abortion. I find that morally reprehensible. But that is what the people of our state have voted for. And we should not short circuit that process until every state's people have the right to weigh in on it. But here's the bigger issue, Kirsten. The bigger issue is, and Tim began to touch on this, we're not pro-life for the whole life. To be pro-life for the whole life means that the life of a 16-year-old drug addict on the floor of the county lockup is precious, and we should get treatment for her to restore her life. The 52-year-old who's drug addicted should make sure that any of his children who he's passed that addiction on to are treated well too. Pro-life's not just in the womb, Kirsten, it's for the whole life.
Okay, but what are you gonna do about the whole? They're stealing our flow, but not stealing the policies.
This is the NBC News Republican presidential
they're going to break?
Yeah, they're going to break and then closing statements.
Okay, there were a lot of lies in that one. Immigration, first of all, I guess they certainly lied about the severity of the issue. Keep in mind, immigration right now is a net benefit for the United States. It only increases our GDP and economic production. There's no evidence to support the idea that immigration from the northern or southern border is harming the United States in any way. They just hate brown people. It was interesting to see Vivek say that he wants to limit northern immigration as well, though. Just build a wall around the entire country.
Put a wall in Montana?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that's pretty crazy. And then they went on to what was after immigration? Do you remember?
Was it immigration straight to abortion?
It must have been straight into abortion. We've talked about this so many times. Third trimester abortions don't happen. They're less than 1% of all the abortions that happen.
The second trimester abortions are only like 7% of abortions that happen.
I think 92%, 93% of all abortions happen in the first trimester. Later term abortions only occur because the mother's life is at risk. If you get to like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, all likelihood is that you intend to have the child, and if an abortion does have to happen, it's because of a medical complication. Yeah. And the reason we would oppose any national abortion ban, even if it's just for like third trimester abortions, is because those kinds of laws would make it illegal for doctors to act when there's a medical issue, because they're not sure if they would lose their license or even go to jail.
Yeah, and even if it's not explicitly illegal to act when a doctor has a medical issue, there's still an area of nuance where a doctor would hesitate to act, as we've seen in states like Texas. I think it was right after the
Florida
abortion ban. There were pharmacists in Texas who were straight up refusing to administer RA drugs. I think it was mifepristone or something, because it can also be used to treat ectopic pregnancies and induce an abortion, because that's a treatment for an ectopic pregnancy. Pharmacists just wouldn't dispense it to the people who needed it because they didn't know. They couldn't confirm whether or not they were going to use it as an abortion. So when you do something like that, you just cut off medical care for people who genuinely need other medical care as well.
Yeah, and also, as leftists, as Marxists, talking about material conditions, if you want less abortions to happen, then make the material conditions in the country such that people can afford to have a child if a pregnancy is unplanned. Or if they get pregnant with the intent to have a child, we want to make it so, they don't go bankrupt. They don't have to incur massive medical costs. They don't have to worry about any other cost related to being pregnant or having a child and raising them for 18 years.
Yeah.
Right. If you want abortions to happen less in this country, not that I think that's like any moral stain, but if you want abortions to happen less, you need to give people the resources they need to actually have children.
Which is crazy because they're getting up there and they're like saying that. They're like, oh, we need better like sex ed, but they don't want to go far enough to actually say it.
Yeah, better sex education, free contraception, free in-hospital births, funding for, did I already say funding for contraception? Like all of these things would go to reduce abortion rates in this country. Not that that's even like a thing that I think needs to happen, but if you want to do it, there's a lot that you can do. Prenatal care, maternal care, like there's so much that you can do if you want to reduce abortion rates that Republicans never vote in favor of. In fact, I think there was a bill that we covered over a year ago at this point, last spring, where the House was voting to make it so the access to contraception can't be abridged by any state legislature, and Republicans voted against it.
Crazy.
Crazy. What are we doing?
God damn. No, I do think Nikki had the safest take. Yeah. Considering that this is just an issue that they are losing. Again, I think it is every single time that abortion's been on the ballot, abortion has won.
Yes.
Right?
It's incredibly, yes, there hasn't been a loss yet.
Whether even that's a red state or a blue state, it has won. So I think she's doing the safest thing by saying like, hey, I'm pro-life. Appeal to those people. But also, I'm going to govern in a populist manner and let the people of states decide. Although that doesn't really work because, again, if you are so pro-life like so many crazy Christians, you are out here thinking like, no, it's murder. You can't ever stand for that.
Exactly. If it's murder, how do you ever justify
But it's the safest approach considering that 70% of people are pro-choice.
Yeah.
Time to address and why you and not former President Trump would be the party's best choice.
Who
to
do you think should be voted off
issues.
the island?
You each have a minute. Senator Scott, we'll start with you. One minute.
Bro, 1 minute
There's
for
a
each of
crisis
them?
that is growing in our nation, and that crisis is cultural and
Marxism.
spiritual.
Oh.
We need
Cultural Marxism.
Spiritual like the specter.
Just like cultural Bolshevism. It's fear-mongered by the Nazis.
Valueless,
Hell yeah.
Faithless, fatherless society.
Fatherless shit.
To faith,
Fatherless?
patriotism, and individual responsibility. We should stop choosing victimhood and start choosing victory. We should stop kneeling in protest
and start choosing virginity.
There are basic truths.
Stop kneeling in protest and start kneeling in prayer.
In America, you work. If you take out a loan, violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men.
Oh, he had to get the anti-trans shit.
That's the first time it's come up.
I do not just...
They clap.
I do not just want to win the battle against Joe Biden. I want us together to win the war. The war for our Christian conservative values that changed my life.
That's why we need to build a new temple in Jerusalem and support our allies in Israel.
$14 billion.
Thank you for hosting tonight. Listen, it's a gift. A gift to be an American.
Fatherless.
And I'm running for president of the United States because I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing the division.
Me too, dog.
I'm tired of seeing the anger. And I could see in the eyes of Americans their exhaustion. Their exhaustion from the petty, personal politics that have taken over this country over the last number of years. I'm running for president to be a president of consequence, to do the big things, to make sure that America's role in the world stays number one, that we stand up for our friends and allies around the world, and we stand up for what we believe in right here at home.
Hell yeah.
And it's not to eliminate our differences. Our differences has always been our strength as a country, not our weakness. But you can't truly say you love America unless you're ready to open up your heart to every American. I'm going to open up my heart to every American as president, and I will make sure that I return honesty, integrity to the Oval Office. We deserve and should accept nothing less.
Governor, thank you very much. Let's go to Mr. Ramaswamy now. Your 1 minute.
We've talked a lot about foreign wars tonight.
God,
but
I
we're
wish
in the middle
Haley
of
was
a
center
war
stage.
right here at home. It's a war not between black and white or Democrat and Republican.
It's bigger than black
those
and
of us who
white.
believe in our founding ideals and love this country, and a fringe minority who hates the United States of America. And I think it's going to take a commander-in-chief to lead us to victory in that war, who first of all knows that we're in a war.
Bro
Second of all,
only
can't
speaks
capture
militantly.
special interests along
Yeah,
the way.
literally.
But third is from the next
nation's
generation.
We don't need a
More
president. We need a
fresh legs to lead us
commander-in-chief.
to victory.
Some fascist
I'll shut
shit.
down the deep state. I'll declare economic independence from China. I'll keep us out of World War III, and then revive national pride in this country.
Not unless
I also want to
it's
close
Israel,
with one
though.
message to the Democrat Party.
Not unless
I
it's
think it's a
Israel.
farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So
Who,
have
Trump?
the guts to
The
step up and be
managerial
honest about who you're
class?
actually going to put up, so we can have an honest
Anything
debate.
but blame the
I don't
rich.
think he
Step
knows
aside,
what
end
that
his candidacy now,
means.
Anything
so we
but
can
blame
see
the
whether
rich.
it's Newsom
God
or
damn.
Michelle Obama or whoever
Well, he
else.
can't say the
Just tell us
CEO is
what's
like the
true.
elite because
Because
he's the
that's
CEO. Says no, it's the managers. It's the middle managers,
He's a
guys.
600 millionaire.
Ambassador
Forgot
Haley,
about
you
that.
have 1 minute for your closing.
Thank you. The world is on fire. We have a
Climate
war in
change
Europe.
reference?
We've got
Oh.
a war in the Middle East. We've got China on the march.
That I fully support, by the way.
It is very important
condemn
that we
Hamas.
know how to defend our freedoms and how to defeat terrorism and socialism.
Fuck.
We have to know the difference between good and evil.
Terrorism
we
and
have to know the
socialism.
difference between right and wrong. We need to know that a strong America doesn't start wars. A strong America prevents wars.
I'm
And
a
the way we
citizen.
can focus on that
strong America
is to
causes
make sure we
wars.
go back to the soul of America and be strong and proud again. And we can't do that. We can't win the fights of the 21st century with politicians from the 20th century. We have to move forward, and we can do this. I know we can do this.
What?
That's right,
So
put me
join
in
our
there.
movement. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and we will once again show what America that's strong and proud looks like. God bless.
Ambassador, thank you.
I fucking get. None of them have talked about like the economy
Sanders, your closing, you have
in
1
their
minute.
closings.
We must reverse our country's decline, and that is going to require leadership. I will take the hits, I will take the arrows, I will take the barbs, because it's not about me, it's about you. It's not about the past, it's about your future. We are going
I'm a
to
wife,
fight for
I'm
you.
a mother,
I
I'm
am
a
going
bitch,
to win
I'm a
for
lover.
you
I'll put
and
on
your
these
family,
boots
and I will
every
lead
day
this
for you.
country's revival. As a veteran of the Iraq War and in the Navy,
Oh, shut
I will
the fuck
always
up.
put
You're a
service
lawyer.
above self as president. As the father of 3 young
Bro's
kids, I'm
what,
going to ensure
signature
that this
achievements as a
country is left
professional
to the next
jagoff was
generation
breaking a
in
hunger
better
strike?
shape than we found it. And as the governor of Florida, I delivered on all my promises, and you can trust me to deliver for you as the president of the United
Delivered
States.
on
I am
all his
asking
promises?
for your vote. I'll be a nominee that will
begging.
be able to win the
God.
election. I will be a leader you can be proud of, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you.
Governor
Oh,
DeSantis.
he won't let us down
Homelander.
because he's so up because
Yeah.
of the heels. That's why.
5'11" in heels is crazy. If I put on heels, I'm fucking 6'3", you know what I'm
I'm saying,
The
fuck.
next line says, if the audience can hold their applause. That didn't work out. But anyway, for just a few more seconds, I'll ask you to just hold the applause.
Oh, thank
On
you,
behalf of my
Memphis.
fellow
Who's voted
moderators,
off the
I wanna
island?
Thank the candidates for their time.
Thank you
and
so
for this
much.
spirited
Nikki
debate.
Haley with the
Really
shameless
good,
plug is
deep
crazy.
conversation, and we appreciate you all being here. Thank
Thanks.
you as well to our wonderful hosts here at the Adrian Arsh Performing Arts Center. On behalf of the Republican National Committee and all of
Okay.
us at NBC News, good night, everyone, from Miami.
I have so many thoughts.
Overall, I think it was definitely better than the second debate. However,
You think so?
I don't think it was as entertaining.
I see. My thought the entire time was that the questions from NBC were more conservative than the questions from Fox.
Yeah, that
Like, why
that
are
threw
you
me.
you're asking all of these questions framed directly in like the America Warhawk framing? Like, how are we going to promote the American empire around the world? And you're just allowing them to spit their talk without pushing back on literally anything.
At least when Fox asked a hard-hitting question, they front-loaded it with something irrefutable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was up to the candidate to ignore all of that.
The presupposition is always on the foreign policy stuff. The presupposition is always that America should be controlling and dominating other countries. There's never a question around like, should we draw back in our involvement in other countries, or should we try to form alliances that are less based off militancy and more on like diplomacy? That's never the question. It's always, how do we promote the American empire? Mm-hmm. And it's I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It's just liberal media. Conservative media does it too, of course, but still.
I was surprised at how little conservative media did it compared to this. And I was surprised how much more respect they had for these hosts.
Yeah. Except for Vivek in the beginning.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was
I love that.
fucking sick.
And again, he didn't keep up the energy. He mentioned the boot thing.
I think he got timid.
Maybe, yeah. The height of this was the boot thing for sure.
Yeah.
You think Vivek got lost in the sauce? Because they were talking about a lot of different things for foreign policy.
You're thinking like he just didn't know what the fuck he was talking about?
Well, because like that 20%, when they went on to Social Security, he was like 20%. He just made it up.
Pulled that shit right out of his ass.
Yeah, no, that was CEO speak right there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Who do you, in the chat, sound off with who you thought won the debate? I think Ron did better.
I think this was Ron's best showing for sure.
Yeah.
Again, everyone came out really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they fell off as hard as they did in the second debate, but they did. Is that her 25-year-old daughter that Vivek called out? She's there. That's crazy.
I don't know.
Sorry, she was just on the screen with Nikki Haley. They didn't fall off as hard as they did in the second debate, but they came out swinging.
Yeah.
Like Ron's opening statement was hard. And then he never really followed up on it.
He went after Trump, yeah.
Even when the closing statement was supposed to be about why should you win over Trump? Because let's be real, that's the only thing that fucking matters.
Yeah.
And he didn't take the opportunity to sink it again? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Like Trump is the guy you're running against. You're not running against any of them.
Yeah.
Because even if, Ron DeSantis drops out and Nikki Haley gets his votes, you're still not winning. But people are saying Nikki won in the chat. And I think I agree. Nikki probably did the best.
I think Nikki won too. I'd say out of all of these debates, Nikki, I think won all three.
Yeah.
Right?
All three? I can't even remember what we said.
I know she won the first one.
I think we said Vivek won the first one.
Oh, you're right.
Because that was when bro was especially unhinged.
Lethal.
But Nikki definitely won the last two. She's been doing pretty well. But again, it doesn't matter. They're not making any distinctions between themselves and Trump. It doesn't make a difference.
Well, I think Nikki has made herself the most, other than Christie, who was
the most unlike Trump.
Who was never really in it. I think Nikki has done the most to actually run as a candidate on her own 2 feet, but it doesn't matter. Ultimately, none of this matters. And that's why it's so funny.
Straw poll going up in the Discord.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let me pull it up. Hang on. Actually, I can pull it up on my computer here. Yeah. It seems like this is the last one since Iowa's going to be in January. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll do another one. But we do have the debate. I think it's at the end of the month on a Thursday, November 30th, I think.
Ron DeStiletto versus gruesome Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. I think it'll be shorter, and it'll be a liberal this time versus a conservative.
You think maybe, and that one's got to be culture war. That one's, I cannot see foreign policy being the focus on that one. Because, the whole first hour this time was foreign policy. And then they sprinkled 15 minutes of it into the rest of the thing.
Yeah.
A solid majority of this was foreign policy. And I don't understand, frankly. And it wasn't even Israel. If we'd have had an hour, 20-minute discussion about Israel, I'd have been so cool with that. Because that would have been so crazy to hear. But they talked about China the whole time. Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of whack.
Let me get in on the straw poll in the Discord. For anyone, anyone who's not in the Discord, you can check the link in the description. Go to discord.gg, /head in the office.
Exactly. I think it's /Hiddo, but whatever.
/Hiddo. What can I say? Let me get in here. How many bingos did we hit?
I think I'm supposed to do this on my phone. It is not working on the desktop.
Let me see. Visit site. How many bingos did we hit?
I think someone said they got one about an hour and a half in.
Huh. That's cool. I think I had seen 3. SAG reached a deal mid-debate? No way.
Oh, that's kind of sick.
We can watch movies again?
Yeah. The 4th debate's October 6th. Tell me you're lying. I can't do it anymore.
Is there actually?
I can't do a 4th one.
That's a week after the Ron Gavin Newsom debate. Honestly, what is the point of a 4th debate?
Yep, 4th GOP debate held in Tuscola, Alabama, December 6th.
Who's doing it? Is it Fox, NBC, CNN, perchance?
Established by the RNC on Friday.
Ew. Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca Cools. If Tim Scott dropped out, then we wouldn't have the opportunity for bathroom breaks during the debates. Respect the gift he gave my bladder. That's true.
I'm not seeing who's hosting it. They might not have chosen yet.
I was surprised they went for an hour without an ad break. It was throwing me off.
That was a long time.
I needed some, and especially the discussion that they were having, how awful. I needed some time to gas up.
Yeah, no, the three ad break, what do you call it? Structure.
Yeah.
For the previous debates is pretty good.
It was good. Like 30 minutes.
And it was a
for
longer
each
break.
section.
It was a longer break too. They only did 3 minutes
sick.
for the break.
Oh my god! Only got one. Bingo. No way.
Hey, well, it was a tougher debate. It was a lot of more foreign policy than we could have predicted, right?
I'm so surprised they haven't hit on trans issues, especially within the.
We got one at the very end.
We got one kind of at the end.
I think they know it's a losing issue, but they did bring up abortion.
They brought up abortion, and that's more of a losing issue than the trans stuff, because at least with abortion, there's a solid portion of conservatives that are also pro-choice, like kind of. But with the trans stuff, I'm pretty sure most conservatives are pretty like, yeah, we don't really like that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not 70-30 like it is for abortion.
Swag
the
said,
stats are way
I
off.
missed the debate. Did they ask about the boots? Vivek brought up the boots.
He did.
And Nikki Haley commented on the boots as well, but they were never directly like Ron DeSantis is wearing heels.
Yeah, no, Vivek just said 2 people on this stage in 3-inch heels, and that was sick.
And then Nikki Haley said, mine are 5. I don't know about anyone else or something like that. Which, like, yeah, that was a very, very cool moment.
That was good.
That may be my favorite moment. My other favorite moment was DeSantis saying he's going to take remittances away from immigrants.
God, that was so good.
To fund the border wall.
Was it that we were going to take them away, or we're going to tax the shit out of them?
Oh, I think he said tax remittances raise billions of dollars. Dog, immigrants are not sending that much money back to their families.
That's
There's
like
no way.
That's kind of like the whole point of a lot of immigrants coming here to work, like legally as well, coming here so that they can work, because the dollar is so much stronger than the currency at home, so they can send like $100 back, and it goes a lot further than it would here.
Yeah.
Tax the fuck out of it.
Yeah, but they talk all the time about like, oh, we shouldn't tax working class people. We shouldn't be stealing their money. Taxation is theft.
So
but
we should tax
immigrants.
the
hardest
class
working people. Yeah, hardest working people.
God damn, that was good. That's how, Trump always said we're going to build the wall and we're going to get Mexico to pay for it. And that's how we're going to get Mexico to pay for it, by taxing the money that the families who need it back in Mexico.
Oh, exactly.
Need,
Yeah. Yeah, it was so much foreign policy. I expected the Israel stuff to be like a good 30 minutes, but then for them to do Israel, then China, and then
Honestly,
they asked about a bunch of other stuff.
It kind of got glossed over.
What, Israel?
I feel like Israel kind of got glossed over.
They kept bringing it up. I mean, Chris Christie out of nowhere went back to ceasefire, remember?
Oh my God.
We paused.
Yeah, I don't know.
We silenced it for like maybe 10 seconds, and he was like, ceasefire.
Same shit happened last time, didn't it?
Yeah,
I can't
with the
remember.
cops.
With the cops.
Cops in China.
That's right.
It was a question about cops, and then Nikki Haley started talking about China. It was so much China rhetoric, dog. So much China rhetoric this time.
They didn't even hit on crime. That's like one of their things. Crime? Oh my God, they love that shit. The Foghorn count was reduced without Doug. Shit, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
that's very true.
I can't imagine what Doug's dumbass would get up there and say.
God, I mean, so much of what they said was either just like really dumb or stuff you can easily fact check and prove wrong. Like when Vivek's like, yeah, this allows for abortions all the way up to birth. It clearly doesn't.
Yeah.
Like there's not even really much commentary to give on it. I'm sure I'll sift through clips and we'll put stuff together for the episode. But a lot of what they said was just fucking nonsense.
So much of it was incredibly like milquetoast.
Yeah.
Like
I felt myself not having
the flames as hard as they could have.
Yeah, I felt myself not having much to say. Like especially when like Chris Christie or Tim Scott talked, because it was just like, what are they saying? Like when he was asked, when the moderators tried to nail him down on an age for Social Security, and he just talked for another 1 minute saying literally nothing.
Oh my God, he's
he wouldn't say
bottom line is, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
God, yeah, no, and it's like, it's just especially hard because the guy that is going to win the primary just isn't there.
Yeah.
He's just not there. So the only people that I can't even say they have a chance, but the people who have the best chance relatively are the three in the middle, and Christie and Tim Scott just never mattered.
No.
Never, not once.
Chris Christie maybe had a few good moments, but then he just didn't stick the landing any other time. Thoughts on the recent outcome of elections? I don't know if you were here before, but we talked about the elections a little bit. Republicans got clapped. They were torched basically everywhere they ran,
Big
or in
losers.
places they did win. They didn't win by as much as they should have. because a lot of it was still related to abortion or trans issues or other things that people don't hate as much as the Republican Party does.
Incredibly big losers last night. And
no
that's
Doug
what I love
scares.
to see.
No Doug scares tonight.
Damn.
I know. Doug was really the force that kept me going last time.
I wish my man Asa could have made it. That'd have been really good. That'd have been good. Perry Johnson, too.
Oh, Perry Johnson giving us the $2 hat.
That guy. I wish I could get up there and jolt for Bolt. You know, John Bolton really would have loved to talk about all these issues.
John Bolton would have loved to condemn Hamas.
John Bolton would have loved to condemn Hamas.
He would have been like, let's condemn Hamas and nuke Iran. That's how we solve the crisis with Israel and Hamas. We need to kill all 200 million people in Iran.
I thought Haley was going crazy on Iran, like out of nowhere, just stoking the flames with that one, doing a little sable rattling. John Bolton would have loved to get up there and one upper.
Yeah, I don't know how much you all know about like Iran and its position in like geopolitics. Iran is like, I know a lot of people look at the Middle East and they just kind of think of like desolate countries that have absolutely no power. Yeah. Iran is fucking huge. Iran has 200 million people in it, and it's not like they have a military force that would rival the United States, but their country has a ton of fucking mountains, and that's an incredibly hard terrain to actually invade. Any military incursion into Iran would not go well for us.
No, it'd be ridiculously hard.
Yeah, starting a war with Iran is not something that we want. Also, it would just be bad for civilians, right? Like outside of military strategy, it would be bad for civilians as well.
Outside of being like war nerds about the whole thing, I don't want civilian casualties. I don't want another like million Middle Eastern people to die who had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. Where people will look at Israel and think like, oh, pretty small country, but funded by the U.S. Iran's like a real country. You know what I mean? Like they're nothing to scoff at.
Oh fuck! You know what? I'm kind of surprised that NBC never brought up like the Trump indictment stuff.
Yeah, they're the fucking liberals.
They're the liberals. Like, how are you guys not bringing up the flippers?
God, man, the moderators are so dog shit. Like, the only good moderator we've had is the woman from Univision last time.
Oh my God, I know.
She's the only good one. I know.
Like, how are you guys, the liberal media whose job it is to make these people look bad, giving them softball questions and not going up there and saying, hey, these Trump indictments, they're pretty bad. You talked about them the last two debates. People are flip-flopping on Trump's side. The Kraken has returned to fucking flip-flop again, to snitch, to rat.
Yeah.
And she's not going to say, so the people who peddled this lie, you guys have peddled the election lie, and people who were key players in it are flip-flopping and saying that it was a lie, admitting guilt, taking plea deals, taking immunity deals in Mark Meadows' case. What do you have to say for yourself? Do you feel swindled? Do you still believe these lies?
Oh, did I say 200 million? Sorry, 90 million. I don't know where I got the 200.
Hell of a lot of people, though.
I must have been looking at a different country's population. 90 million is the correct answer. Thank you for the correction there. Anyways, 90 million people is still a whole lot, right?
God damn. I don't understand. Like, there's such a layup that they can put up there by just saying, like, all of you on stage have peddled the election lie.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like this is a symptom. It's similar to what we've seen with CNN.
Nico.
I think it's similar to what we've seen with CNN, where they seemingly, like a lot of different media networks, at least the big ones, are trending more center because they feel as though the public doesn't trust them as much. And as other forms of media grow, regular TV media is falling behind, or at least not as popular as it used to be. And NBC, CNN, their response to this is just to like not pressure Republican people anymore. And it's kind of weird. Like, you have an opportunity to do exactly what everyone either expects you to do or what you should be doing, asking them about actual issues, and you kind of just let them get away with whatever they want. Like, straight up being worse than the conservative moderators.
Yeah. Nikki Haley absolutely sweeping the straw poll debate. What can I say? Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, and it's I don't understand what the fuck they think they're doing, what kind of audience they think they're really going to capture by making these moves. No one is ever going to think that CNN is not the communist news network anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're never going to duck that label. No one's ever not going to think that Fox News is this incredibly far-right organization, because I mean, to be fair, no matter what they do, they'll never stop. A game is game. Like, they got Hannity on prime time. They may have got rid of Tucker, but they still have demons up in there.
Fox is still very right-wing, right? Like, that's not going to change.
Yeah, but it's disappointing seeing the people that are supposed to, like, know better.
Yeah.
Getting out there and just doing this shit. Like, why are we letting them talk about China for so long?
Well, yeah, especially foreign policy stuff. Like, a lot of like issues like abortion or even immigration, things that people think a lot about when it comes to domestic issues. A lot of people can have takes of their own, right? That they can kind of use as a starting point for how they're going to judge other candidates. When it comes to foreign policy, a lot of people don't know anything about what China's doing. They don't know anything about Iran. They couldn't even point Iran out on a map.
And it's like,
and to just let them get away with fear mongering about Iran and kind of just giving a blank check to Israel is kind of crazy.
I was gonna say that's why it's especially egregious because I can't remember who was
Thanks,
it.
Dylan.
Maybe Ron, who got up there and said $103 billion. Most people don't know what that package was about.
Of course, yeah.
Most people don't know that package was dispersed and it wasn't just for whatever the fuck he said it was. That 14.3, the Israel funding came from that. Ukraine funding comes from that. China bad funding comes from that.
Yeah.
People don't know that shit.
And it's like, I don't expect conservatives or the Republicans on the debate stage to like be clear about what they're talking about, but that's where the moderators come in and say, this is what was in the package we just referenced. It's not the things you mentioned, it's X, Y, and Z. But they never do that. What's the point of these debates at that point? It's just public spectacle. There's not even an attempt to make it seem like they're sharing real information or sharing their stance on actual issues. It's all just based on nonsense.
They constantly act like these are institutions that are to be respected. Yeah. And then how? Literally how and why? Well, I don't understand.
Cameron, you said nobody said the word Palestinian tonight. That's true. And the moderators didn't even like bring it up. They mentioned it once, but like
they played it on like commercial cards.
Yeah, why didn't they say how do you balance Palestinians that are dying? Why didn't they nail them down on that? Like it's so stupid.
It's just, all you gotta. Well, it's because I mean, to be fair to NBC, who doesn't deserve it at all, they don't fucking give a shit about the Palestinians either.
Did y'all match fits because are we matching? Green?
Earth tones, baby. What can we say? what can we say?
Yeah, it was actually planned.
All the time, always.
No one brought up the heels after the first call out. Yeah, I know. It was so stupid. They're not asking the important questions.
Man.
I don't expect these debates to ever be productive, to ever produce results that like actually help democracy. I usually just expect them to be entertainment.
Yeah.
But it's hardly even entertainment when they're not asking actual issues, or when they do ask actual issues, they just let them get away with lying.
Yeah, because that's really the crux of it.
The conflict comes in when you actually force them to answer questions.
Yeah, I don't expect these things to be intellectually stimulating. I do like the blood sport of it all, but it's hard to get that when they aren't nailing them on their lies and they're not forcing them to go at each other. Yeah. Like, there was an opportunity there to have a moment where Nikki could clap back after Ron DeSantis claimed that she let Chinese companies into South Carolina, and they just wouldn't let her do it. No, let them fight. Come on.
Even if it comes at the expense of having less topics overall to talk about. Like, people want to see the distinction. That's kind of the point here, is to have them fight each other. Even if you want it to be productive, like, you still have to have room for them to fight each other.
Yeah, like, what's the point of spending 30 minutes on China bad when they all basically have the same answer?
Yeah.
Come on.
And they acknowledge that. They acknowledge that when they, on Israel specifically, when they were like, Vivek, is there any light between you and your competitors? And he says, yeah, one place. And then he repeated their take.
He said, one place, I do what they did, but a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Can I quantify that? Maybe 20% harder.
And then in the same breath, he said the war on terror for the United States was a disaster. Like, it's the same shit.
That was good. I guess he distinguished himself as a dumbass for that one. Golly.
Yeah, lots of nonsense. And, like, we can't even fact check it all, right? But they're, like, it's their job. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's what they do for a living. They're journalists or reporters.
I want, like, a genuine, like, hardcore debate where they get up there and they're two people going at it, moderator asking questions, and they got fact checkers going crazy. And they just interject, cut the mic. Actually, what you said, that was a lie.
Yeah.
That was a dirty, stinky lie. God damn.
The announcement that you're hosting the next debate, that would be so sick.
Oh, man, I wish.
Oh, speaking of boots on the ground, could you imagine if they were like, we need boots on the ground in Israel? And Ron, you could probably put your boots on the ground.
And Ron, why don't you put your heels on the ground and show us how tall you really are?
Yeah, it's so hard for me to, after the first debate, I feel like it's so hard for me to tell, like, what regular or even just like Republican voters think of
I have no idea.
Right?
I have no fucking idea, because they said, what, Ron won the first debate?
Yeah.
They're in a different fucking world than we are, I suppose. But Zen, constant softballs, I think it's a safety thing for ratings, maybe. Yeah. And, like, I understand that, because that's what I was kind of thinking, too, that it's like, oh, it's got to be for ratings. But who the fuck is tuning into this? And who other than us is watching this whole thing?
Yeah. Do you think they actually have the same option, do you think, or do they just think that the party will prefer that take? Like, how much do you think this is real? I mean,
I think it's all incredibly calculated. I don't think any of them up there believe a goddamn word of what they say.
Especially with like the abortion ban stuff, or, you know, we need to make the rich pay for Social Security. Like they're not going to do anything like that. A lot of that is just right-wing populism to get elected because they see that. Well, this used to be more of a problem before, where they would do right-wing populism as a replacement for left-wing populism that liberals and leftists should be doing. But they try to do it now because you have to make those kinds of appeals if you want any working class person to reasonably vote for you. It's all lies, though, right?
Yeah.
When we say that we want to tax the rich more, we actually mean it. When they say they want to make the rich pay taxes, they're just doing it to get votes.
I stand on business when I say that pro-life means being pro-life after birth. They aren't.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that pissed me off all night. Every time, was it Christy and Haley that were bringing that up? Stealing our whole flow.
Yeah.
Everything, every lick of it. Like, I don't understand. The people that got up there and did not support the child tax credit, talking about being pro-life. Christy getting up there, talking about being pro-life for the 16-year-old drug addict or the 52-year-old drug addict who got his kids addicted to drugs. What are you doing to help them?
And it's like the child tax credit especially, right? This is an opportunity. The moderators could have come in and been like, Tim Scott, you voted against the child tax credit in 2021 or 2022, whenever it was taken away. That is something that helped families with children that were making under, $100,000 a year, something like that. It was giving people $300 a month, whatever.
Like per kid, right?
Yeah. Destroyed or cut child poverty by 40% overnight. All these kinds of good things for kids that have no other choice, that may be suffering through no fault of their own. That's an excellent opportunity to ask him, like, what do you mean you're pro-life, right? Like, if you're not supporting this, explain yourself. And they don't do that. And it's just ridiculous. That's one of the best policies that we got out of the COVID era. And it's just gone now, and it's not going to come back.
God damn, bro. Because, like, obviously we like to focus on how it's kind of Joe Manchin's fault that thing got taken away. But it's also Joe Manchin and the entire GOP's fault. Can't forget that part.
And, like, it's such a simple policy, right? Like, you are just means testing for how much people have an income, and you're just straight up giving them money. Like, who would have thought giving people money that need it is just entirely transformative for their lives? Like, it was one of the best policies that we've seen come out of the U.S. government in a long time. It was incredibly simple, and Republicans took it away, along with Joe Manchin.
And it's like, yeah, we do need to actually get moderators that are opposition that are going to fucking press them, because I'm pretty sure Democrats get pressed in their debates.
Yeah.
Nobody shies away. Nobody shies away from pressing a fucking progressive. You put Bernie on a debate stage.
Bernie's certainly right.
Everyone is asking him the craziest, most irrelevant questions just to try to get him. And then they throw literal fascist softball questions on there. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, Vivek, who's doing the whole, like, we need to revive our national identity.
We need to.
What the fuck does that sound
like? We need to revive our national identity, and we need to be militant because this country is at war with ourselves, and we need a commander-in-chief. And you're not going to give that guy tough questions, but the dude who walks around talking about, Medicare for all. Come on.
What are Vivek and Haley even doing? Like, don't they know the demographic they're trying to appeal to? Yeah, I mean, Vivek and Nikki Haley, they will face issues related to their identity that, of course, they don't deserve to face.
Yeah.
But that is the Republican Party, right? Like, people will say a woman shouldn't be in charge of the country, or people will say, I don't want to vote for someone who's not a white man, right? Like, those are issues they're going to face. Maybe the Republican Party has become an inch more accepting over the past few election cycles, but I don't know that they're going to ever vote for, like, Nikki Haley, whose real name isn't just Nikki Haley, by the way.
Crazy. Yeah, Jeremy just showed me that the other day. I had no idea. She had hit it very well.
Yeah.
God.
I don't remember what her name is, but
do you think Trump will actually make it to the polls? All these cases in Georgia and NY, I don't know. He might be running from prison. I think the cases are going to go a bit longer than the election next year, so I think he'll be fine. But whew.
Yeah, Nikki Haley is white passing, but like, it's clear why she calls herself Nikki Haley, right?
I thought she was just a white woman.
Like,
I really did.
I mean, talk about choosing your own name. Self-identifying. Like, no one's telling her she can't name herself Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
And like, that's not a bad thing, right? Like, she should be able to go by Nikki Haley if she wants to. But I mean, I don't think Republicans are in a position where they're going to vote for Nikki Haley or Vivek Ramaswamy. Like, it's just, we know the electorate, right?
That's true. I do think Nikki Haley would generally be like a better pick for VP than Kari Lake. Just like speaking of like how I think the votes would turn out.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like I think Nikki Haley would actually draw in moderates that Trump needs to, the suburban white women that he needs to win the election. That Kari Lake just does not appeal to, because she's absolutely insane. But I think he's picking Kari Lake.
Yeah,
feeling real America.
He's gonna pick Kari Lake.
100%, yeah, it's no doubt in my mind. And I'm also just still mad at myself for being scared of Ron DeSantis. That was the biggest fumble.
That's so embarrassing,
I think I've ever had of my political career.
Back in November, December of last year.
That's my worst mistake.
Well, and like we couldn't have known, right? Like
he was going crazy. He was popping off.
He fucking swept Florida. I think it's natural for us to be like, yeah, this guy seems powerful with the Republican base. But who would have known that his politics, or not even his politics, his
personality.
Yeah, his politics is kind of just in line with everything the GOP is doing, but his personality just doesn't mesh. I need a moderator to call him out when he says I served in the military. Be like, fact check for the audience. He's actually was just a lawyer. He didn't do any combat. He didn't fight for anything. He was a lawyer signing off on war crimes.
Golly. What y'all saying? They would never fire Tucker?
Yeah,
Whoa,
now. That was me.
Whoa,
that was just me.
Now.
That was, that aged like milk in the heat.
The next morning, they fired him. See, that was crazy. But again, that was something that never could have been predicted. Same with Ron DeSantis, something that can never be predicted.
It was an anomaly, right? I couldn't have known.
Truly an anomaly. But the Ron DeSantis thing is probably the most embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because that whole episode's dedicated to how scary that guy was.
Yeah, I said, yeah, Tucker's going to be fine.
You all thought Tucker was going to be fine, too.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, be honest with yourselves. You did not think he was going to get fired. I'm just the guy who said it on the internet. Probably not the only one either.
That's a crime now?
Yeah, well, it's a crime to be wrong sometimes. I was just proving I'm not perfect. Like, I'm just like you guys.
Sick of you woke liberals. Always all this purity testing. It's crazy. God.
Y'all posted that in the free feed after it got fired. Hey, well, we're imperfect. You know what I mean?
Well,
we're not going to edit our takes just because we've been... just because we were sillily wrong.
Yeah,
you know?
What do you expect us to do? Release an addendum? That's why you should follow the Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, I tweeted about it.
That's why you should be a patron.
That's why you should be a patron and follow us on Twitter. Come on. God damn, yeah, that was crazy. At least that was like silly. Think I'm going to release an addendum for that guy? You see how wholly irrelevant he is now? We've talked about him like, what, twice?
Tucker, yeah.
Since he's got fired, we talked about him because he got an interview with the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and because he did something else that was stupid. Other than that, he's cooked.
He's fallen off hard. I wrote a paper for DeSantis on DeSantis for an upper level poli-sci course. Yeah, just like us for real.
Just like us.
Being stupid and silly.
Hours of content dedicated to that one.
And now we just make fun of him every week.
Ron to short stuff. Ron to slavery wasn't so bad. Ron to stiletto.
To be fair, like if he was more charismatic and he wasn't so fucking silly and he didn't have shit like the Bootgate plaguing him, he would be more scary. His politics is significantly worse than any Republican.
If he just knew how to run a campaign,
yeah.
Honestly, if he knew how to run a campaign and have a personality, he'd be killing it out, literally killing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
God, I want the live Hiddo chat in the background of the final debate. Man, I can't believe there's another one. Is it going to be another 2 hours of China bad?
Perchance.
Golly.
God, yeah, the China bad rhetoric is just... Like, I'm in full support of supporting Taiwan, but like, god damn, why do we have to do all this China bad rhetoric just like nonstop? It's just Cold War shit. They're literally just doing Cold War shit. Like, we need to ramp up... what is it? What did they fucking call it during the Cold War? The arms race. We need to do the arms race even harder than we've already done it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll race to Mars. I think any of Trump's lawsuits will actually affect his run. I
think they are.
Right? I think they absolutely are and will affect his run.
I don't know that Trump will ever show up for a debate. I don't think that he ever will. I mean, he's running out of time to do that now, right? Like the primaries are about to start. But I think electorally, if we get to, I don't know, August, September of next year, and he's the general election candidate, I think that he will run into a lot of problems with the electorate if he's being convicted of crimes, right? Like, I don't think people will see that and flock to his aid. I don't think voters will like average voters. I don't think that they'll like that.
Because like obviously love focusing on like the hogs, like the ride or die MAGA people. But what was it like in 2016? It was or 2020. It was young people turning out to vote. It was suburban white women flipping for Biden, and I think it was also minorities like turning out heavy to vote
for Biden.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like those groups, if we want to focus on them, I don't think any of them would like it if he got sentenced to anything. You know what I mean? I don't think moderates are going to like that. And he could even spend some time in jail for violating these gag orders that we've been talking about because he can't stop yapping.
Yeah.
He could spend a weekend in jail, and I think that would devastate him.
I don't know what Trump was doing during this debate. Maybe he was in court. Maybe he was in court preparing for court tomorrow. I don't know. I didn't see anything.
That'd be so sick if he got hit with
last time he was at
tampering.
the propaganda rally, the fake union rally. The first time it was Tucker.
Oh, man, that was so good. That was so good. Yeah, maybe he was just chilling. He's gotten a boost in donations. Yeah, but those are like I don't think that's representative of the actual millions of people that he needs to win against Biden.
His base will flock to him harder. His base will solidify even more because they'll see it as a political persecution.
Yeah, the same people that genuinely think that the Jan 6 prisoners are martyrs are going to go hard.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people don't look at January 6th favorably, right?
A lot of people don't give a shit about it.
Trump's approval rating dropped even harder after January 6th. And if he's getting convicted of crimes for that and for other things, I don't think it'll help him ultimately. At least I hope not. Maybe that's not an evergreen take.
I do not. Please don't let, if any of my takes go the way of the Tucker take and being scared of DeSantis, don't let it be that one.
Yeah.
The way everyone is testifying and squealing on him. No, absolutely. Like Mark Meadows turning is crazy. Sidney Powell turning is nuts.
The Kraken, yeah.
Kraken returns, baby. My fear is Trump convictions will boost his base while Biden has done everything he can to suppress turnout by young people and people of color. You know, that's yeah. I think it's gonna increase how convicted his base is for him. But I think Biden would be the one to fumble it. If Trump were to win in 2024, I think it's Biden's fault. Because genuinely, so many people are coming out and talking about how Biden has lost their full support. And if you've listened to the most recent episode, I think that's silly. I think that's silly because Trump would be no better about Israel right now.
Trump would be worse.
And he would
significantly worse.
Honestly, and even if Trump wasn't worse about Israel, even if he was giving $14 billion, doing everything that Joe Biden is doing, just minus the humanitarian pause rhetoric, which doesn't mean anything anyway, he'd be worse in literally every other area, especially domestically, especially considering how these candidates have pushed him a little further right, especially on trans issues. It's like we're trading one genocide for two if Trump were to win. You know what I mean? And I'm pro zero genocides, remember. Everyone but
what's
us.
Sam Cedar's classic line? He's like, if you had to vote for one concentration camp or 5 concentration camps, which one are you voting for? And Tim Pool was like, I'm just not going to vote at all. And he's like, okay, I'm voting for one concentration camp.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, a lot of people think that Biden shouldn't run. I wish Biden wouldn't run, but here we are.
That would be cool. That'd be incredibly cool.
I don't think, like, a lot of Democrats may say that he shouldn't run because age is like the biggest thing that's in Biden's way right now. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to show up and vote for him anyways, right? Because if people see Trump on the ballot, it could mean that they turn out and vote against him, right? A lot of people make the argument that it wasn't a vote for Biden in 2020, it was a vote against Trump. And I think that could be a similar phenomenon.
Who was excited to go and vote for Biden? Yeah. Who was galvanized to get out there and vote for Joseph Robinette Biden? The Pod Johns.
The Pod Johns.
The Pod Johns.
Yeah, you can't abstain from the moral problem.
You can't get out of the trolley problem.
Yeah.
Once you see it, once you know about it, you're morally culpable.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. You guys, an alternate to Biden? I mean, Gretchen. I'm on the Gretchen Whitmer train all the way, baby. Michigan, 100%.
I'd fuck with Big Gretch. If
Big Gretch in the White House.
If Big Gretch went to run, I'd be totally cool with that.
Although she probably wouldn't be much different on Israel, if we're being honest. Like
that's very true.
Like the thing I've been seeing, like a lot of people have been mad at Biden. Understandably, we've been mad at Biden, but I think it's more of like a U.S. thing than it is a Democrat-Republican thing.
Yeah.
I think most U.S. politicians are in support of Israel because of a variety of factors that we've talked about.
That's true.
Which is still bad, but...
What candidate could genuinely go out there in a DNC primary and win while being pro-Israel?
Yeah.
Especially at a time like right now. I don't think it could happen. Gage, your glasses are very crooked. Yeah.
Damn, getting your dumb
I kind of... It has character. It has character. Saw that on Hassan coverage of some of the poll numbers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Democrats are like the champions at alienating their own base, right? No. But I think because we're so polarized and because two-party system, if abortion is like the main issue on the ballot and Democrats run on abortion as they're probably going to, I think they'll be okay.
Thoughts on Marianne Williamson? I honestly... She seems like okay, but the only thing I've heard about Marianne Williamson in the past, 6 months since she announced that she was running as, a progressive type, was that she abused her campaign staff.
Yeah, and,
I don't really I don't really have any educated opinion on Marianne Williamson.
I think she's an example of a book deal candidate, you know? Like, she's going for a book deal. I don't dislike her politics, though. I mean, I agree with a lot of what she has to say. And she's a social democrat, if anything, but...
yeah, her politics are fine.
At this point in the election, there's no way that Biden loses. It just it just is what it is.
I've seen a lot of people seriously go out there and talk about oh, it's so exciting that Cenk Uygur is running for president. No, the fuck it's not.
He lost a special election in California. What are we talking about?
No, it's not fucking exciting. I like his politics.
I think
most
he's
of the time.
Also a book deal candidate.
100%.
Yeah, it's
100%.
I don't know. I think leftists need to get better at understanding where we are politically and where we are in our moment in history. And I mean, people have made fun of us for this, but voting is but one political tool it's a means of attaining power. And if we want to flex power against fascists in society, the Republican Party, we have to use every method at our disposal. And voting is just one of those things. It's not like voting fascism away, but it's a component of ensuring that fascists don't take over and eliminate all elections forever.
And it's obviously you can't just vote fascism away. That's why we say it's so much more important to do other things and support other causes. We don't stop it there, and that's why we're not corny.
Yeah, never corny.
Maybe stop it from supporting genocide. I would like that.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
RFK announced that he was an independent now?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, damn.
That's pretty sick. That's why he was factored into the polls that we looked at earlier, because people aren't sure where he's going to siphon votes from, right? He's got the Kennedy name, so people think, and he's been a Democrat, quote unquote, so people think he could pull from Biden, but his politics are so obviously conservative that he could pull from Donald Trump. Nobody's sure what he's going to do.
There are 7 people in the entire country who were planning on voting for Joe Biden who are gonna vote for RFK Jr. That's not a serious block. There's no way you could spoil Joe Biden. Who in their right mind would want to vote for Joe Biden and say, "No, this RFK guy, he's got it."
He's kind of spitting when he said Jewish people can't get COVID. That was kind of crazy. You remember that?
Yes.
Oh man.
Oh fuck! What a good guy. Good guy, RFK.
Wasn't he I have no idea if he was a registered Republican or not, but he's pretty crazy.
If we wait for the perfect candidate, we will sit with our halves outstretched, finding ourselves wanting. Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's fine. Biden fucking sucks, but I'd rather what's going on now than what would happen if Trump was in office.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. All right, guys. I think this wraps up this debate coverage.
Yeah.
You think so? It was good seeing you all. We appreciate you all for coming. Thank you to those that donated to the stream, and thank you for those that shared, liked, etc., etc. But hopefully NBC doesn't take that revenue away. That'd be really sad. They copyrighted. They were like, "That's actually ours now." Anyways,
could you imagine?
I appreciate you all for coming out, and we'll probably, I hope, see you when Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis debate live on Fox.
As long as it doesn't get canceled.
Yeah.
I have a feeling...
That's a cancelable thing.
I have a feeling that Ron DeSantis will pull out of it.
Yeah.
And I hope I eat my words on that one.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming out.
Have a great night. All my friends, especially if you go over
non-parasocial,
especially if you go over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod and give any amount, then we can be real
5-star review, and we love you.
Exactly. Donate a certain amount, maybe we could be accountability buddies.